validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. We did it again. I was sitting over here trying to knock some stuff out, and then I looked back at the clock, and I was like, man, it's going to be that bullshit. So what we did, we tried to get rid of that flickering thing that we've seen on the show over the last couple of nights. I was like, damn, what's going on with one of these routers? And it turns out that one of the routers that we just got, we're using kinetics for our fiber optics, and one of the routers that we just got wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So what we decided to do was we had to reset the whole system. That's right. Here we go again. So we had to reset the whole system, and then we determined, you know what, we're just not going to use that router tonight. We're going to go live. We're just going to make it do what it do. We're an hour and 5 minutes late, but fuck it. You know, I tell you guys on a regular basis that, you know, while we go live every night of the week, we do not let the sun rise without going live, but we don't always start on time because typically we're supposed to start about an hour ago. If we're going to be on time, but if we operate on CP time, we get here when we get here, right? So being live 7 nights a week, we give you a different topic every night of the week. Sundays is questions and comments from the fans. You guys got questions, we got answers about you and how you guys can do you better than what you've already been doing you. Then we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, business and politics. And Monday is how we talk about how politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Tuesdays, we talk about ways to make money, save money, budget money, invest money, different ways to look at money, how to protect your money, all of these things. Then on Wednesday, we talk about different countries around the world that you can invest in and potentially go live in more affordably. Beyond that, we extend the olive branch on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays to give you guys information and insight on um, self-improvement, personal development, relationship topics, socializations, negotiations, building your brand. And then when we get back into your employment, we start talking about your promotions, your raises, your retirement, forced retirement, severance packages, and all of this leads down to us discussing with you guys about your 20 to 30 year plan, because you guys got to figure out where you want to be at in your future and what you got to do today to get there. Something as simple as, 50 to 100, $200 a month that you put away for your future could lead to dramatically improving the results of your future. And you think, well, a couple $100 a month, that's not a lot of money. I mean, yeah, you say that when you're clubbing, you say that when you're paying for recreational entertainment, self-medicating, stuff to that effect. But when you think about how um, $200 a month is upward of, $2,400 a year, and that's going to be like, $24,000 in 10 years, plus interest, you get closer to 75 grand, depending on what your interest rates are and stuff to that effect. When you start putting away more than that, 500, 700, 1,000, you start taking 10% of your money, you put it into your brokerage account, and if 10% of your money turns out to be $300, $400, $500 a month, you start putting away $6,000 a year, which turns into like $60,000 in 10 years, and it doesn't make you a billionaire, but it does provide you with the financial security that you need. It does provide you with the job security that you need. Because I mean, and when I say job security, it's like, look, you get pissed off at your boss because you don't make enough money to cover your ends. You ask for raises, they capped you out on your position, they ask you for promotions. The shit in your past prevents you from qualifying for promotions. Now you're asking for overtime. They're giving you overtime when they got business, but when they don't got business, they cap on overtime. So then your livelihood depends upon your presence. And when your presence isn't warranted, especially when they're sending you home early because there's no work, that you get frustrated and you take that out on your boss. So you get a little bit more job security because your attitude changes when your employer isn't giving you the money that you want to receive. Whether you deserve it or not, whether they're capable of giving it to you or not, has nothing to do with the fact that you're not getting what you think you should be getting from your employer. Now, if you're making enough money to cover the spread, you don't really care. A lot of people who put in that 65, 70 hours a week find themselves in a position where, you know, if you're making more money than what you need, you have no problem with going home early. You have no problem with taking a few extra days off. You actually would prefer to do that. So you have a better attitude about your employment. You have a better attitude with your customers. You being less stressed and less frustrated allows you to function better on your job, which also it keeps your work ethic high, which actually keeps your performance high, which keeps your security in your job. So investing in yourself financially actually does work towards indirectly job security, because where your job normally does not cover the spread, your brokerage account can cover the spread. Your stock options can cover the spread. Your gold, silver, platinum, uranium, Bitcoin can cover the spread. And when you have alternatives, like for the government agents that's been government agents for 15, 20 years, who get furloughed every year, they don't even have to worry about vacation, right? They don't even have to worry about vacation. They can get furloughed. They can call in their vacation time right after being furloughed, where you get forced to stay home, you get paid to stay at home. Then when it's time for you to go back to work, you take another 2-3 months off. You can have 6 months out of the year off because the government shut down, and you get paid for the whole lot of it. What keeps stress away? Money. You're right. You're definitely right. And that's one of the reasons. That's basically what we got dealing with today. The difference between chasing money for freedom or approval. And there's a difference between the two, because everybody's after money, but everybody's after money for different reasons. Money, you're right. Michael always says that the smartest person in the room uh, with no money can still be ignored compared to the person in the room with the most money. And I agree with that to a magnitude. But the fact of the matter is that the smartest person in the room can captivate the attention of individuals, but the authority of the smartest person in the room can only go so far. When things need to change, when stuff needs to be done, the majority of individuals still need somebody with more leverage and more authority. So yeah, typically money talks because the person, and when it's not money, it's connections. Because I personally can be broke, but if I am affiliated with somebody who has the money or the authority to fire the person that I'm talking to, or buy out the building and turn it into a storage unit or whatever, then my connections makes me have that power and authority and control. Like people who can pull rank with police officers. Oh yeah, my dad knows the chief. So then if I call my dad and my dad calls the chief and the chief calls you and tells you to go to stop, you know that you can't mess with me because the person that signs your paycheck will pull your card if you mess with me. And that's one of the reasons why money talks. Money talks because even though it is a power thing where my connections mess with your operation, the fact is the reason why you're standing down is because the person that signs your paycheck will stop signing your paycheck if you keep talking to me, right? Which gives me a position of entitlement because it's like I'll make a phone call and you'll go sit down. Michael says, no one listens to broke people. Tell you to go. Go sit your ass somewhere. So that's what we're covering on the show today. I mean, you guys can say that you want that financial freedom, right? But let's get real for a second. Take a hard look at your last three big purchases. Were they moving you closer to freedom, or were they about getting a round of applause from the people in your network? Just think about the last three big purchases that you made. Doesn't matter how big they were. You know, it could have been a couple $100. Did you buy something that you, in purchasing it, thought, oh, so and so would like this, or so and so would be jealous of this, or so and so would be envious of this, or I would turn heads if I buy this. You know, everybody would be looking at me if I buy this. I'd be the center of attention if I buy this. Is that what you were thinking about when you bought that, or did when you buy that you thought this will keep me stable, or this will keep me functional, or this will keep me afloat until X, Y, and Z situation? Were you moving closer to freedom, or were you moving closer to applause? What if I told you that for most of us, the desire for wealth isn't really about buying back our time, but about buying other people's validation? So today, we're going to expose the huge, often invisible difference between building wealth for yourself versus building it for an audience. So I'm going to give you guys a simple test to figure out which game you're really playing. Because one game leads to peace, autonomy, and real choices, and the other one leads to high stress, high payment, hamster wheels that just look good on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and everything like that. And by the end of the night's show, you'll know exactly which path that you're on and how to switch to the one that actually sets you guys free. You say, yeah, that's definitely a struggle. It's a huge struggle. You know, when you're putting money down to entertain other people, yeah, you might have an entourage while you're paying. But when you don't have any more money, when you're broke, when you run out of stuff to do, honest to God, you know, nobody's gonna be there. That brings me back to a story that I seen one time. Um, Guy had a birthday party that he set up. His daughter went out to go and invite, because he sent his daughter out to go and get the family and bring the family over to the house to celebrate his birthday. The girl went through the streets telling everybody in the neighborhood that the house was on fire and that he needed help. And everybody who came to the house come to find out that not only was there no fire, but there was actually a party there. The guy asked his daughter, "Who are all these people? I don't know any of these people." And she said, "These are the people that deserve to be here." I thought that was a good story. None of his family and friends was there, but she told everybody his house was burning down and he needed help. Strangers who didn't know who he was running to his house, ate him, and ended up enjoying a very fantastic birthday party. The fact is that you know what kind of people you got on your plate when it is time to test their grit. But it is too late when you're testing their grit. If I need a bailout, I shouldn't need a bailout if I'm putting my money in the right place. But if I need a bailout, and that's when I find out there's no one there to bail me out. But these are the same people that I bail out on a regular basis. I just realized that I've been putting my own foot in my own behind this whole time by stimulating their stupid decisions, thinking that they were going to be a return on investment kind of situation. You should never do that, right? So let's be clear. There's a massive difference between being rich and looking rich. And we keep spinning back to those prom kids. One is going to be about financial security, the other one is going to be about the performance, right? One is going to be measured by your net worth and how long you can go without a paycheck before you run out of money. And the other is measured in likes, comments, and the envy of complete strangers, right? Money, money, money. It must be funny in the rich man's world. I'm going to be real with you. Rich folks are so used to having money around them that they don't know what not having money looks like. And the stress of having less money, even though they have more money than most people, could lead them to commit suicide, right? He said, I'm broke as a joke, and it ain't even funny. Oh, I say it all the time in front of the IRS. I'm broken in the song, bitch. There is nothing that I got that you can garnish. Y'all will be burning gas for no reason just to come over and shake my hand because there's absolutely nothing that you can repossess from over here. Talking about some like MC Hammer when they were snatching gold toilets off the floor and all this other shit. And ain't nothing that you can get from over here. Nothing. Broke it in the bitch. Stay that way. That way, even though your lifestyle might be a very lavish lifestyle, you don't own shit, so they can't take shit from you. Now, the modern world with social media running the show has blurred the lines to a dangerous degree. We're constantly bombarded with picture perfect lifestyles and the things that we should want, making it tough to separate our true desires from the ones that we've been conditioned to have. Psychologists call this extrinsic motivation, the drive to do something for an external reward, basically the applause. And that's different because the alternative is intrinsic motivation, doing something because it lines up with your core values and your own sense of purpose. So this isn't yeah, actually, you're right. The dopamine hit. You actually get it. So you get a dopamine hit when you get positive praise. You get a dopamine hit when you buy things. You get a dopamine hit when you are at the center of attention. You know what I mean? So these are all and these dopamine hits actually are addictive. And the irony of that is that a lot of people chase that high and spend a shit ton of money to do it, right? He said, if you're not using money, it's worthless. Put your money to work for you. Invest in your future, and believe me, 45 years old comes fast. He ain't lying because I got what, 4 or 5 years left. 70 is right around the corner for a brother. So this is going to be the foundation of building wealth for freedom, right? Intrinsic motivation is building wealth for freedom. It's going to be the quiet, often unseen work of creating a life where your money serves you, not your ego, which makes a huge difference, right? So we're not just going to talk about budgeting or investing today, right? We're going to go deeper. We're going to go to the levels of digesting the psychology that's driving your financial decisions. We're going to explore the hidden reasons behind your spending and the psychological price of chasing status. And then lay out a concrete 5 shift framework to move from a life of financial performance to a life of financial freedom. So if you've ever felt that as your income goes up, your stress level goes up right along with it, or that you're working harder than ever, but not getting any closer to that feeling of peace, you are looking for the levels of peace that you have just found today. Tonight's show, we're going to be helping you guys get closer to that. Is that 45 to 71 comes real fast. Okay, so you don't just invest in the Depends stock. You actually invest in the Depends themselves so that you have a stockpile of them at the house to make sure that when things don't go the right way, that you've got something to wipe with. So make sure that y'all like and subscribe as y'all come through here today. We got a lot of interesting information going on. Woo. The whole journey is going to start with one critical question. And before I ask that question, it says, make your Depends work for you. And what you need is Depends and some baby wipes. That's the core combination. You don't just need the Depends. You need the Depends and the baby wipes, the throwaway kind. You know what I mean? Not the flushable kind, because you'll end up clogging up your drain. You want to make sure that you get the Depends and the baby wipes. That way you can go ahead and throw the whole thing in the trash and then wipe swimming into trash and then get your Depends on. And you need to get the Depends pull-ups, not the ones with the straps, because them straps don't always stay still. You want to make sure. Because this is the most important information that they don't teach in high school. Trader, I be telling people stuff that you know, it's logic and it's common knowledge, but it's not all too common. Certain things, like for example, you know that right before a natural disaster, everybody rushes to the store and goes and buys toilet paper and a bunch of water and hand sanitizer and soap and all of this other shit, right? And they just dump all their cash on it, and that's the moment where it's excessively overpriced. Did you know that outside of hurricane season, certain shit that everybody bulk buys during hurricane season is cheap as fuck? You can buy your generators cheaper before hurricane season. You can buy all of your amenities cheaper before hurricane season. So instead of waiting until the storm is on the news where the shit starts going up in price, $3 to $5 an item, instead, why are you not buying more of it throughout the year, or buy less more often, right? So instead of buying 80 rolls of toilet paper because a hurricane's coming, why not buy 5 rolls every week, or buy like 10 rolls every month? And whatever you don't use, you stack on a shelf above sea level so that it doesn't get flooded out. Why not go out and buy? Because you know that you're going to buy your regular groceries, even whether you cook or eat out or whatever. But you know canned goods last damn near forever. So why don't every time you go to the grocery store, you buy you 40 or 50 cans of some shit that you would eat if you had no power, and put that in the cabinets, and then have the food that you eat on a daily basis in the fridge, where you're eating stuff in the fridge first. Then if a situation happens where you're snowed in from a blizzard or a hurricane or a riot, or nice decides to ride through your neighborhood, you don't got to leave your house because you got 7 months worth of food in the cabinets, right? People don't think about these things. I told you guys about the 15, 20, and 30 gallon gas cans. Big ass fucking the size of a mini cooler gas cans. And they're like between $100 and $250 a piece. And I told y'all, not right now during the war, but you technically could. But after the gas prices go down, or even if you did it right now, if you go and buy 2 or 3 of them gas cans, and then you catch the gas on a cheap price, even if you buy the gas cans now and then you ride around until you find a gas station that says 2.89 a gallon, and you say, well, shit, let me go back and get my gas can and come over here and fill the fuck up. And then you go and get, you know, 2, 3 20-gallon gas cans worth of gas, right? And bring that shit back to the house and store it at your house. 2 things you're prepared for now. 1, if in the event gas prices go up, you can delay the impact on you by using the cheaper gas. 2, if in the event a natural disaster occurs, instead of you having to fight people for gas, if you've got 3 gas cans at the house with a generator, you've got 60 gallons of gas at your house. By the time you need gas, the situation would not be as severe. And you would have plenty of time to go out and get it. Because 60 gallons of gas, especially if you're doing like power overnight, not 24/7, is likely to last a hell of a lot longer than, running to the gas station with a 5-gallon gas can and be like, oh, I got to top up, right? People don't think about that. And gas is going to be higher when everybody's running to the gas station. So you can save money here and there just by doing less more often. Shop for towels, case of MREs. These are things that you can get now while it's not important, while nobody's looking at it. Cheaper now. Then when it becomes a necessity, everybody's going to be looking for it. You've already got it. It's either sold out on back order or being sold excessively high because this is the last case on the shelf. People don't think about this shit. Preparing for the future. This goes a long way. So today, like I give y'all stuff that's not taught in schools. If I was a teacher in a school, I would have to be like a home ec class that's going to be teaching people like business and finance shit. They think that they're going to come to home ec and start talking about how to cook shit. The only thing I'm going to teach you how to cook is the fucking books, bro. We're going to bullets. You got to buy bullets, extra guns. You want to have a firearm at every entrance. Or at least you want to have a firearm. You want to have multiple firearms next to the entrance to the bedroom that you're in, or the living room, dining room, office that you're in, so that when you hear a knock, you can pick that firearm up and you can just go to the noise. You're not supposed to go to the noise with the little flashlight like you see on a scary movie. You're supposed to go to the noise that you heard with enough ammunition to make noise. You want to be able to knock back the scenario where they go from being the culprit to the victim. You want to make sure that it's just instantaneous. But if you're not prepared, you're not prepared. So this question that we're going to ask you, the one critical question: why do you want to be wealthy? This is a question that I want to ask you guys. And everybody's got a different Pumbo. Why do you want to be wealthy? Trader, why do you want to be wealthy? Michael just wants to not die before he's 85. I know Mike, he good. He's spending money every day. But if you wanted to be wealthy, what would be the motivation for being wealthy? If your neighbors turn into werewolves, well, your neighbors weren't turned into werewolves, but they would definitely turn into the Grinch that stole everything out of your fucking house. Because no matter how honest, see, Michael would buy more time. Honestly, just to be financially stable. That you haven't gotten wants and needs yet. So right now, you just want to not have to stress no more. But eventually, when you start thinking about like what does the end look like? What does the end of work look like? You're like, man, beach, house, expensive car, big house, fence, yard, maid, chauffeur, all this other stuff. You start thinking about it. And then but yeah, when you think about Steven, I mean FX trader, special shout out to Steven. You think about the neighbors, they don't turn it into werewolves, they turn it into freaking more like vultures. But you got to understand, honest people are honest when there's an abundance of resources, and lots keep honest people honest. But desperation compromises integrity and ethics and morals. Just like in every zombie apocalypse and post-apocalyptic movie that you see, People start breaking into houses looking for resources because they don't have money, they don't have jobs, stores are closed, they steal because they're surviving. Survivors will still have to break into your house and come and get some fucking groceries because they're hungry. And this actually brings me to a side topic. I was watching this skit where there were a grocery store was being broken into. You had a crowd of white people walking out with bread, water, uh, 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 you know, like food and stuff. And the guy said, "Well, when you look at this picture, what do you see?" The woman said, "Survivors." Then you see another photo. You have same store being robbed. Black people coming out with TVs, Jordans, stereo systems. And the guy said, "Well, what are you seeing here?" She said, "Looters." He's like, "Oh, they're looters because they're black." She's like, "No, they're looters because they're getting fucking TVs and shit." The had the black people been walking out of the store with fucking food, we would have been calling them survivors. It is what you went in there for. That's the difference between your morals and ethics. Like, are you doing this for survival or are you doing this for, trying to come up? He said, wealth is a life sustaining energy in modern society. It's becoming that as people start becoming more um, uh, informed about it. The answer to the wealth question is going to split everyone into two camps: the freedom seekers, like Puma, and the applause chasers. Right? He said people loot electronic equipment. Can you imagine if they were actually hungry? Cool, yeah, they're gonna after they just stole all of that electronic equipment, they're gonna go and rob somebody of their food and stuff because they robbed the store and all they took out of the store was electronic equipment. I As stupid is what stupid is. You know, think about in Hurricane Katrina when the people was breaking into the malls and running off with all the sneakers and shit. Everybody feet wet because there's like 5 or 10 feet of water everywhere you look. The water is higher than most vehicles, right? So if you got the brand new, just came out day one Jordans, if you put them on your feet, them bitches is soggy as fuck. The value is gone. Yeah, you got them day one Jordans so that you can say that, I got the latest edition. But they fucked up now because I walked outside my house and the water came up to my waistline, right? So, then like when they set Florida on fire, they went and ran into Champs and took all the shoes out of the shoe store, you know, when they were protesting something during COVID. And the thing is, it's like, well, how did your protest turn into everybody need a name brand pair of shoes? Can you imagine how much impact they would have if their positive, peaceful protest didn't end with millions of dollars of property damage and theft? Big difference. Now, the tragedy in the difference in mindsets between freedom seekers and applause chasers is going to be that a lot of people who think that they're seeking freedom are actually living for the applause. So, what does it mean to be an applause chaser? And this is going to be the path of extrinsic wealth. That people be stealing the most asinine things. You are not lying. They be, bro. Okay, so during a natural disaster, the things that I feel relevant to take is effective functional transportation for long distance journeys. The size of the transportation is only relevant to the number of individuals in my party. Fuel to refuel this vehicle. Then provisions and protection, weapons. Anything else is not necessary. Anything else is not necessary. So you got the clothes on your back, if you're going to bring 1 or 2 changes of clothes, but you don't have a functioning laundromat, so clothes ain't going to go that far. But you got the clothes on your back, so you should have a carry-on full of clothes, right? And then everything else in your luggage should be food and water and juice or some shit like that, and then weapons to protect yourselves, and then a couple extra spare tires for the vehicle that you're driving, and then extra gas, and just get going, get it doing what you're doing. Now, if we're in a post-apocalyptic situation, it's like, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna take the vehicle that functions, one duffel bag full of stuff, another duffel bag full of weapons, and then we're just gonna go as far as this vehicle can go, dump it, and steal another one. But there's no reason why any commodities that are luxury based should be on your to snatch list in the midst of a dire emergency. So every single natural disaster that happens in the United States, where people clear the shelves of toilet paper, hand sanitizer, that's stupid. Steaks. God forbid. Like, why are you not buying up all the steaks on a sunny day for the 4th of July? Why are you buying up all the steaks in the middle of winter? Talking about some deep freezer when they're talking about potentially not having power for the next 4 to 6 months. These people don't know what they're doing. Yes, the tension getters. The survival, dirty bag. Oh, he said a ditty bag. Near a major river in a boat. That's a good description of it, because we used to call it a whole bag. We used to call it a whole stroll bag, a on the go bag. All of those are afraid. Now it's a ditty bag. A couple extra outfits and baby oil, and off to the races. Now, pay attention to this, guys. This is going to be where people are going to hold the scorecards, right? Yes, that actually in the middle of a mass evacuation. I don't know how it happens every single time in a mass evacuation, the roads do get congested. So it does make sense that you either have an off-road vehicle and take it to the hills, or you get you an aquatic vehicle and take it to the sea, because you will escape that location a lot faster if you were not on the main road, because the main road is clogged. And I don't know how the main road gets clogged, because if everybody is heading in the same fucking direction, where there is no minimum speed, no maximum speed limit on the road where you could just go, right? Then unless a car breaks down, y'all should be able to just gun it out of town. That's my thought. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's my thought. So when we start thinking about the extrinsic wealth, this is going to be our external scorecards. You guys got to understand that your success is going to be measured by what other people think of you. So this mindset is going to be all about materialism and social comparison. And it shows up with some specific and often destructive financial habits. So the most obvious is going to be conspicuous consumption. This is just buying things to show people that you have money, like the kids with prom, the expensive suits, all the cash in their hands, Rolex watches, rent Bentleys and Lambos, and private jets, and taking photos and having WWE intros for their high school prom and all this other stuff, right? This is just buying things to show people that you have money, when they were really just using their tax return money, their food stamp money. They just got approved for disability, and they took that big check and they blew it on themselves kind of money, right? So you want to think of the luxury car with a crippling monthly payment, the designer bag that costs more than the rent, or the watch that's less about telling what time it is and more about telling everybody that you've made it. The average modern day Gen Z don't use watches. They check the time by looking at their social media platform. So folks with $75,000 watches don't even use that watch to tell time. The average young buck right now under the age of 30 doesn't know how to read a face clock. They digital clocks only, right? So when they start wasting money on timepieces, where you're not even using that to tell time, you got a watch on, but you pull your cell phone out of your pocket to check the time. That's crazy. Um, Michael says, I've learned not to care about what others think. Yeah, at 71 years old. He said, I don't need validation. And most people talk garbage. They don't never have nothing positive to say about you. Because when you're successful, they're talking shit about how you got there. When you're not successful, they're talking shit about you because you're not successful. So one way or another, somebody's gonna be talking shit about you. Is that I never understood why people do that because uh, inevitable, it puts a target on you and breeds jealousy from others. Well, I agree. And that's one of the things I said. Them kids was out there with all that money in their pocket. They had more money in their pocket than what they seen their entire school year. You know, they on a free lunch program, but they walk into school prom with like $5,000 or $10,000 in cash, right? That puts a target on your back. Those folks who didn't have that money gonna breed jealousy. They're gonna knock you off. That's gonna have people that's gonna be trying to target you. Even after the prom night, assuming that everything went well and nothing negative happened during the prom night, the next day, the day after, the very first Tuesday after prom, oh, I know you got something. I seen you at prom, bro. Cough it up, right? It's the kind of thing. Then you got scenarios like even in your adulthood when you start showing off your wealth like that, then you got your ex coming out of the woodwork trying to set you up on some fuckery, and now you got to get lawyers. You're under investigation. You got the IRS auditing you. Look at what happened with Jesse Talks Truth was on the show talking about how one of the candidates that he's working with, his ex-wife is trying to ruin his political campaign. Y'all divorced. Y'all don't even fuck with one another no more. And she coming out of nowhere to make the man look bad because some people, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman, some people are so bitter during the breakup phase that they never want to see you succeed ever after they leave you or after you left them. So every time they find out that you are starting to express levels of success, they do everything in their power, kamikaze style, because they will sacrifice their own integrity. They will sacrifice their own credibility to destroy you, right? And after all of that, then if even if they don't succeed, then you're traumatized. Now you're always looking over your shoulder about that one crazy ex that's always trying to set you up on some bullshit. Are you still dealing with that $10,000 rental car for one night? Yeah. For one night, $10,000 rental car for one night. The kid was tripping. That's why old money doesn't show its wealth. But that's why old money is old money, because old money, new money don't last long. Old money don't go nowhere. The old folks don't spend. That's the reason why they got so much. These purchases aren't about their usefulness. They're for visibility. So the goal isn't to own the item, it's to be seen owning it, right? Which a lot of times you don't even have to own the item. It's just about being seen with the item, which is why people will spend $10,000 to rent the car for tonight, just to be seen in it, driving it, being driven in it, just to be seen getting out of it. Like some of those girls was taking photos on a private jet that was just on the runway. It didn't even go anywhere, right? Just to say I was on a private jet. The thrill comes from the admiration that you think it will get you. All your friends are jealous and envious of where you've been and what you've experienced, or at least the image that you painted of where they think you've been and what they thought you experienced, and you could tell them whatever story that they'll believe. Spending money you wouldn't otherwise have if it wasn't handed to you like that. It's crazy. But that's exactly what they did, because they got the money because of tax laws changed, right? Overtime hours that normally would have been taxed, the money had already came out of their paycheck. They got their refund. Their refund is larger this year than what it was last year, because all of that extra overtime, up to $25,000 worth of overtime money, is refunded back to you, plus your normal $3,000 to $5,000 worth of refunds that you get when you pay your taxes. So they're looking at $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You know, some of them women was getting like $12,000 worth of money back or more off of having all them damn kids. Then you're getting an extra 25 grand on top of that because of overtime hours. Oh yeah, they're wasting all their fucking money because it was handed to them. Then the kids is gonna waste mom and daddy's money, which is money that they would have otherwise never been able to earn on their own at that age. They're not learning responsibility. They're not learning value and appreciation. They're probably gonna disrespect their parents after the money is gone. The money wasn't used for the right thing. So the more money you have, the less visible you should be for all the reasons that you mentioned. You're not lying, bro. This is the reason why me and Michael always on the thing like, yep, we're broke. We're broke as fuck. We're broke as fuck. This is why you're never gonna see me give you a tour of the location that I'm at. This is why you're never gonna see me give you a GPS location of where I'm at. This is why if we go live and we're outside, I'll tell you what country I'm in, but I won't tell you what city or state or village that I'm in. You know what I mean? Because if people knew where I was versus where I am, that gives them a reason to say, shit, he's detached from his major location. Let me go and knock him off while he's not there. If nobody knows I'm gone, if nobody knows where I'm at, they don't know how to knock me off. But if nobody knows I'm gone, for those who do know where I'm at, they don't know that I'm gone. He said, I carry around a sack of quarters. I carry around a sack of got the got the Smith and Wesson model. I'm just psychology or psychologically, you got to think about this because we're about to get onto some psychology. Psychologically, this is often going to be tied to a fragile sense of self-worth where you're going to feel like you need the external validation to feel visible. And that's one of the reasons why people are actually doing this, because they're not important to their community. They're not important to their friend group, or at least they believe that. Right. And then they do things so that everybody can start paying attention to them. Right. Be the talk of the school. Right. But since all the broke folks did the same thing, how much of a talk of the school are you going to be when you and 40 other kids wasted all the rent money on prom? Now you're just another broke dude. The two old billionaires like Warren Buffett and Walton drove old junker cars. Telling you, me and Steve are gonna be on that route. I told Steven, I said, bro, we're gonna have to upgrade to some 2006 Toyotas. we might even slide back a little bit further and do some 1990s Toyotas with the stick shift, because those motherfuckers last forever, right? Howard Hughes drove an old pickup truck. Yeah, because reliability. The less technology on it, the less stuff breaks on it. Now, you got a car with a sunroof breaks, not leaking water. But if you got a car with no sunroof, it ain't nothing gonna break. You got the car with the power windows break, now you can't roll your windows up and down. But if you had that hand dial thing, even if the hand dial broke, you got some pliers that you can use to, y'all know what I'm talking about, to roll that window down. You know what I mean? When you got a manual transmission, all you got to do is change out the gear. So it's cheaper to pay somebody $400-500 to service one or two gears in your transmission than it is to spend $3,000 for them to take the whole transmission out and put a whole new transmission in, right? The old school cars is cheaper. Now, next up is going to be the lifestyle inflation. This is the silent killer of wealth. Old is very reliable, unless it's a female. So as your income goes up, your spending goes up to match it more often than not. Or in some situations, it even exceeds it. A lot of times people find themselves spending the same dollar on two different things. Then when the credit card bill comes back and they're over the limit, then when the bills come in and they don't have enough money to cover the spread, that's when they're trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. But as long as they think they got it, they're going to keep spending it. The Rolls Royce is a nice car, but you will stick out like a sore thumb. You know that's social stereotyping. If a minority was to buy a 2009 Rolls Royce and they're riding around in a low-income community with a Rolls Royce that they paid for in cash, they will be automatically classified social stereotyping as a drug dealer. So you will forever get pulled over because the only people stereotypically can afford Rolls Royce are truly wealthy people or criminals. So not only do you put a target on your back because all the poor people in the neighborhood think you got money because you can afford a Rolls Royce, but the lawman gonna think that you up to something because you living in a low income neighborhood on a Section 8 scenario with a fucking Rolls Royce. A lot of people are in this position where you get a raise, so you get a nicer apartment, you get a bonus, so you book a fancier vacation. Your old car suddenly feels shabby next to your new higher salary. And this behavior is what keeps you in a constant state of just getting by, robbing Peter, pay Paul, trying to make ends meet. But and you're doing it at a higher and higher income level every year. 1960 Golf Wing Rolls Royce. That's a nice car. You're never gonna find one in my name, I'll tell you that. As soon as you get stopped by the cops, ask them for a gift card. I'm gonna ask them for some gas money, like, bro, man, I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna get home. He said it'd be okay if people didn't treat credit cards like free money. It's an easy trends to fall into. It's an easy trend to fall into. Yeah. So here's the thing. And I was telling Stephen about this when it comes down to those credit cards. When you get approved of those lines of credit, if you were utilizing those lines of credit as revolving credit, where you would only spend the money that you have the ability to put back on there, and then you were spending the money on realistic things, then you would be able to keep good credit levels, keep the levels low, keep the utilization low, but keep the usage reasonably or marginally high, where you can qualify for more and more credit cards. But the other thing is that if you have credit cards, using those credit cards like emergency style situations where you have like a $5,000 or $7,000 credit card, and when your transmission breaks, you put it on your credit card and then makes payment on the credit card. What that does is instead of using it like free money, you're using it like I can borrow against this money for a short period of time instead of having to take out a loan that's going to take a negative hit on my credit report. See what I'm saying? So there's two different ways that you can benefit from a credit card if you're spending your money wisely. You put all of your basic bills on your credit cards, maybe overpay on some of your basic bills like your phone bill, your light bill, your water bill, car insurance, stuff like that. Your mortgage, stuff like that. Your health insurances, monthly premiums, things that have a fixed amount every month, and you might put down double, but you're going to put it on your credit card, and you're giving yourself 2, 3, 4 months extra months of leeway where you don't have to worry about these bills for a season, right? Then you take all the money that you otherwise would have been putting on these bills, you drop it down on your credit card, right? Now, your credit card, you pay your credit card down, but all your bills is paid for the next 3 months. Then when you need something like gas in your car, whatever the case may be, you charge that to your credit card. You go grocery store, you charge that to the credit card because you're buying food, you're not going shopping at the mall. And you will come to find that since you actually do make more money than your basic bills, that you will end up paying your credit cards all the way down, paying all of your bills up for 6 to 9 months in advance with a full tank of gas and a full refrigerator full of food. This is stuff that people don't really think about. They think I've got a $20,000 credit card, I can spend $10,000 on pre-registering for the new release for GTA 6 with the new PlayStation 6, right? That's what they think. They don't think to themselves, I can get myself a little bit of financial stability by using these cards. It's what? Is that it's not free money. It's your leftover right arm, 28% interest. Banks get credit cards to students in order to hook them for a lifetime of financial servitude. Banks will lock you into a credit card because they know that you're going to spend the money. And he's right. They're doing it for a lifetime of servitude because credit cards don't have an expiration date. But they will lock a student with student loans and credit cards because they know that the kid's going to get the money from the government and put it on their fucking credit card. gonna chase a snowball. Me neither. Fuck that snowball. I don't even like going outside in the snow. I done already had 2 years of snow, and after those 2 seasons of snow, I was like, fuck snow. I don't snow be on that bullshit. People be talking about, oh yeah, I'm going so and so and so and so. Yeah, when the snow clear, and I'm talking about not the sky snow clear. I'm talking about when I can see the grass on the ground again. That's when we're gonna start moving around. Yeah, as long as there's snow outside, my car is staying still. We're not going nowhere. You will not see me sliding across the ice somewhere. Shit. Even the medical appointments is gonna get delivered to the house. You said, what's the purpose of a bank? To create debt. Yeah, you're right about that. Snow in Florida. It has happened. It doesn't happen very often. Yeah, to create debt. Well, they're going to turn the bank is going to turn a profit off of your money, but they're going to profit off of you. So for your purpose of using the bank is to create debt. Well, technically, your purpose is supposed to be to secure your money in a safe place so that your money isn't robbed from your house, burned down, flooded out, stuff to that effect. But the way that they robbing you at the bank, your money in the bank is less safe than what it would be in a safe in your house. That's one of the wild parts, right? So when you're dealing with all this extra high income, high spending, you're on a faster, shinier hamster wheel, but you're still running in place. The driver here is going to be the pressure to maintain an image of success. You've climbed a rung on the social ladder. You're getting a little bit higher up there in status, right? Supposedly. Now you feel like you have to decorate that new social status, that new rung on the ladder with the right props. It's not about actually improving your life. It's about broadcasting your new station in life, your new situation, right? It's money safer on Wall Street. That's where my money stays. My money stays on Wall Street. I check it every day, every other day. I'm like, let me see my money is up. But this is going to lead to the third symptom, right? Look, continuously putting your money towards entertaining a social status image. This is going to create the next symptom. It's going to be the debt for the status. Applause chasers will often go into debt for things that they don't need just to impress the people or keep up with the Joneses. So one kid's mom and them said that they were gonna take they return and go and get a kid a prom night that they'll never forget. Every other mom in that conversation said, I'm gonna do that too. Now you got all these broke kids out there living the life of freaking Floyd Mayweather in the strip club because all their parents thought, let's take this year's money and give these kids something they'll never forget. They won't forget it, but they won't be able to beat it. New cars, that's right. So this situation could be stuff like financing weddings that you can't afford, putting lavish vacations on a credit card, wasting a bunch of money on prom unnecessarily, taking out a mortgage that stretches you to your absolute limit, where you're getting a second mortgage out for no reason, or you're getting out a second mortgage because you're bailing out some idiot that you got in your friends list who decided to go to jail on some fuckery, and now you're cashing in on your equity to get them out on a fucking bond, a cash bond, where you're not going to get that money back because you didn't pay 100% of the bond, right? You only paid 20%, so it's not refundable. He said this society needs to grow its GDP by promoting unnecessary consumption. Well, one of the reasons why the GDP continues to grow is because of unnecessary consumption. That's where inflation comes in at. Unnecessarily high prices that people are willing to pay for the same products that used to be cheaper. We have shrinkflation, where they shrink the product, keep it at the same price, then they bring the original size back at a higher price. And because we want that original size, we're willing to pay the higher price. If we say that the original size is too much, then we will either continue to buy the smaller size or stop buying the product altogether. And then because they will have more of a supply and less of a demand, they're going to be forced to sell it at a cheaper rate in order to sell the product and not take a loss, which will prevent them and cap them at specific prices. But because we want what's being sold, we're willing to pay whatever we got to pay in order to get what we need. And that is the reason why we're in the situations that we're in. That's where inflation really comes from. Is that instead of paying for college, better to give your kids a duplex. I agree with that. You should give your kids a duplex. With the but yeah, with the $25,000 or whatever that they was spending on them kids graduation and shit. If they didn't pay for the kids' college, they should have put that money down on a house. That way, they could have moved into a house that they own with enough bedrooms for all the kids to have their own room, and then the kids can go to work and pay rent in the house, which will go towards their capabilities, because they, instead of, like I tell you guys, to have people who's paying rent sign a contract where they're paying towards room and board, not towards equity in the house. But these kids would inherit this house, so they would actually be giving mom and dad rent for the house to go towards the equity of the house, so that when mom and dad pass away, the house gets split between the kids, and the kids always got a place to stay. You can move out of this house and go and get you an apartment on the other side of town, go move in with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, have a good time, or whatever the case may be. But when the situation gets tough, you got a house that your mom and them put down for you with that tax money from 2026. That's what they should have been doing with that damn money. That's what they should have been doing. Guaranteed stable housing, because a 30-year fixed mortgage is not going to have that 4% lifestyle creep. Yes, you're going to have maintenance costs. That's probably, if your rent was a certain amount and now you got to pay an extra $500 or $700 a month for maintenance on your house, you might be paying an extra $500 or $700 a month in comparison to your rent. But that is going to be a flat rate cost for the remainder of the next 30 years of your ownership of the house. Your mortgage, or not your mortgage, your rent is going to go up 4%. So every year, you're likely to see a $50 to $100 increase on your rent every year, even if they're not repairing the apartment that you're in. So you're not paying for maintenance, but you're dealing with dilapidated and lower service area, which makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. You should be able to get something out of it, right? Reverse psychology. Yeah, that's what we're gonna be learning today. Some reverse psychology is that people stop spending, the economy would be in big trouble. True, but okay, so one of the reasons why the economy would be in big trouble is because the government spends what they don't have. That's why the economy would be in big trouble. We're spending billions of dollars on a war right now that we don't have. We wrote a blank check, and we're not going to cash it until the shareholders put money into the treasury bond to pay for the debt. That's what we're doing. So we start off in a negative. That's why we're $30 trillion in debt. We start off in a negative. Now, the average person, the bottom 70% of Americans, spend more money than they have, which stimulates the economy because you get a sales tax when you buy stuff. Certain cities and states is anywhere between 6 and 9%, almost 10% taxes on certain things, right? So you're always paying a little extra on everything that you buy. Then you double back and you got to do income taxes where they're going to take more money out of you on top of that, right? Then when you double back again, you're buying shit that you don't need, which is lining the pockets of the wealthy, so that when the wealthy buy expensive shit, it trickles back downward. And that's the reason why you have the stimulation of the economy. The best way to stimulate the economy is put more money in the poor people's hands, because the poor people are going to spend it. You put the money in the rich people's hands, so the rich people are going to invest it. The money's not going to go nowhere. So yeah, the economy suffers because the 75% of poor Americans, which is everybody that makes less than $150,000 a year, 75% of poor Americans spend every dollar that they get. Is it what debt? Right. It's an investment opportunity. But this isn't debt for an asset that will grow or build you wealth, like a smart business loan or something. This is borrowing from your future freedom to pay for today's applause. Research often links this behavior to trying to fill an emotional void, trying to prove to the world and to yourself a lot of the times that you are worthy, right? Finally, the rocket fuel for all of this is going to be social media flexing, and everybody's doing it around. That's how I see the badass kids out there with the damn expensive ass prom dates. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok have become stages for people to perform their financial success. The perfectly curated feeds of exotic travels, luxury goods, flawless homes create a positive emotional envy. Very powerful, right? And this triggers the fear of missing out, or FOMO, driving people to make impulsive, unaffordable purchases to copy the lifestyle that they see online. It's no surprise that studies show a strong link between heavy social media use and impulsive spending. Social media made it 100 times worth. Why you think TikTok is a multi-trillion-dollar investment that Donald Trump had to make sure that America got 51% of, which is like $510 billion out of every $1 trillion that TikTok is going to make from the 170 million American users out of 380 something Americans. So close to half of the American population uses TikTok, and that half is going to be generating multi-trillions of dollars worth of debt or profit for the billionaires, where the United States government is going to get $500 billion off of every $1 trillion that the American people is going to spend on the platform. that 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 hurt my heart. I said, shit, invest in Oracle, y'all. Invest in Oracle. If America is the richest country in the world, then there should be no debt. No, that's not true. America is the richest country in the world based on the ability to accumulate wealth. But a wealthy person can spend that money in a heartbeat. You can win a $5 million lottery and be broke in a few weeks. The time it takes for you to cash a check. Right? Because we already talked about that before. When we talked about Camilla Harris and the $1.3 million reparations check. Think about it. Depending on the house, $500,000 to $750,000 for the house, cash up front, taxes and everything included, right? You got like $250,000. The average American's probably going to get them a Mercedes Benz or a BMW. We're talking about the ones that are not going to just run out there and go get them a Bugatti or some stupid shit. Like, just realistically speaking, they're going to maybe get them a Cadillac or something like that. But a showroom flow car like that, brand new off the lot, might be between $80,000 and $120,000. So out of the remaining $250,000, if we ignore the taxes that's going to be owed, because that's really how they get hurt, because they get the price tax after the fact. You get the $1 million, then you get the price tax after the fact. But if the government gave them the money as a reimbursement, not as taxable income, and you spent $750,000 on a house, $120,000 on a brand new 2026 BMW, Mercedes Benz, or Cadillac Escalade or some shit, you, out of that $1 million, you would likely have like $120,000 left. Now, you own everything cash up front. So technically, if you invest that $120,000 cash up front, you should be able to cover the $1,000 of car insurance on that Cadillac Escalade. They're probably going to be charging like $600 a month for that Cadillac Escalade for your insurance. The gas, your cell phone bill, you're going to buy a new cell phone. You're going to buy the new iPhone 16 or iPhone 18, some shit like that. And ultimately, that $120,000, $130,000 at approximately $5,000 or $10,000 a month worth of spending, you're likely going to be broke inside of 13 months. Instead of taking that $1 million and or $1.3 million, putting it into a brokerage account that's paying you $150,000 a year, where you can still do the exact same shit, but you be doing it with the interest off the principal. You can still get that $750,000 house just by taking $75,000 or $80,000 out of your $150,000 payment for the year, put that on the house, and then you can still get that $120,000 BMW by putting $60,000 down on the BMW from the first year, and then the next year you still got the house, you still got the car, but you're still getting 150 grand a year. You can literally live off of that for the rest of your life, but people don't think about that. People don't go down that path. Because before the internet, people had time to process what's going on in the world. Nowadays, it's chasing one story after another. No time to process it. You're right. You are definitely right. And then, because before the internet, it took us a lot of time to get to where the shit was at. Nowadays, you can buy it by point and click on your cell phone, so it's kind of hard to not succumb to impulse buying when your transaction is in your cell phone. Back in the day before the internet, we had to read it in the Sunday paper and then take a day off to go out there and go get it. By the time we could take a day off to go get it, we then rationalized it to the magnitude where we're like, I don't even really need that because I don't even have the time to go get it. Are we headed for a guaranteed national income for all Americans after all? Hell no. We're going to see another 10 or 15% of increased poverty. That's what we're going to see. I'm speculating it, but that's what I see. I see because this year is the only year you're going to see that tax spike. And the reason why this year is the only year you're going to see that tax spike is because in 2025, they allowed big business to not modify their line items for overtime hours. So now you're not going to get taxed on that overtime hours for 2026, or at least you shouldn't. If you don't see that second line item on your tax return, then you might be one of those companies that's going to get penalized in 2027, but you're going to see yourself getting that tax return this time next year. But for all of the companies that are getting their payroll in order, you're going to see that line item where that extra a half hour of overtime is not taxed anymore. And when you see that not taxed line item, you're not going to be seeing unnecessary money taken out of your check for taxation, right? The regular money that's supposed to be taxed is going to be what get taxed. So that extra 25 grand is not going to be an every year thing. It's going to be just this year, maybe next year, just for the overflow of individuals that had a massive company and they didn't get the line items done in time by the end of the tax season for 2026. But come 2027, everybody's business should be on par with this, where nobody's getting charged overtime taxation for the extra half hour of the time and a half that they get, which means you're going to be back down to regular money on a regular basis. You're going to have more money every paycheck to spend, but if you're still living from paycheck to paycheck because you're making extra money now, remember we had to work like 6 or 7 hours in order to see an increase in our paycheck because taxation took all the extra money out of our pocket. Now we're going to see that extra $100, $200 a week on our paychecks. But if now that we have that extra $100 to $200 a week on our paychecks, now we're going to spend more money because we have more money. We're still going to be broke as fuck every day, every week. We're still going to be living from paycheck to paycheck. So this puts us in situations where, because of social media and everything like that, you see your friends' vacation photos suddenly own new yachts and new cars or everything like that. You see these hot chicks that are leaning on the back of expensive cars. Don't even be their car. They don't even know the owner of the car a lot of the times. They just be posing on the car. You see them in their profile photos like, ooh, she's with this, that, and third, right? Suddenly, your own life is going to start feeling dull. An influencer unboxes new gadgets, and a seed of desire is planted because you want it too. People are just now starting to unbox the new GTA 6 from pre-orders, which anybody who didn't hear that GTA 6 has already been released, they're going to want to run out there and go and get GTA 6. I'm going to wait till it becomes a collector's edition. I'll get it eventually. I might get it by the time GTA 7 come out. FX Trader says the productivity gains with AI will be huge, but there will not be enough buyers for the overproduction capacity. Well, see, that's gonna be the thing. Scarcity. So overproduction is only going to negatively impact you if you're only producing for one population. The fact that we have international trading, what happens is that whatever doesn't sell in America can get sold in another country. And since the other country doesn't have as much money as Americans do, it's going to be sold at a cheaper price. So it is discounted for poor countries, but it's still going to get sold somewhere. The overproduction of physical items is going to occur to some degree, but the scarcity, because they're not going to take, for example, Tesla, Cybertruck. They produce like 7 or 8,000 a year of those trucks. 7 or 8,000 a year. They got almost 3 million people on their waiting list, but they release less than 10,000 vehicles a year, where each vehicle is guaranteed to be sold because there's already 3 million people waiting to buy it. That's how they get it. He said, "Get off my Toyota, quit posing." If this girl is posing on my Toyota, she better get in the back seat. Old school, old school, and she posing on. If she even know what kind of car that is, I'm gonna have to talk to her. You don't know what you want till I invent it. Well, that's one way that Steve Jobs did say that. There's also the fact is that you didn't know that you wanted it until you saw me with it. You didn't know that you wanted that until you saw me with it. Now that you see me with it, now you're like, get me one of them, right? This isn't just advertising. It's a constant personal comparison game that eats away at your contentment and your bank accounts. He said, Steve Jobs was something else. That guy, yeah, Steve Jobs was. Hey, he says some stuff because I know that Joe Mastrano, he's one of the CPAs that was on the show a while back. He said that he didn't really like Steve Jobs. And I said, hey, look, you ain't gotta like him, but he said some really meaningful things. Like for example, you don't tell people how to get to where you want them to go. You tell them where you want them to be and let them figure out how to get there. Because if you utilize the minds of the masses, I mean, you never know what limitations and boundaries that people can break. So the ideology is that instead of micromanaging them and showing them step by step how you want them to do it, you just tell them where you want them to be and let them get to the outcome. It's the most effective way. So now when I say I want this done, that's it. I don't give a fuck how you do it. Get it done, preferably in a legal fashion. That's all I'm asking for. When I come back around and I observe this and I'm like, oh, it's done. That's it. Good job. Here's your pay. I can focus on other shit now, right? Now, let's contrast that with the path of the freedom seekers. Because I know Puma was saying that he wanted to be financially free, just like less stress on the plate. Uh, Financial freedom is something that people do want, but they just don't know that's not their behavior pattern. He said, if he's making you money, shut up, bro. High five. This motherfucker. I can hate the guy, but if he's putting money in my pocket, that's my go-to. I'm gonna call my enemies to make money before I call my friends to be broke. Not gonna lie. I don't lie. I actually told one of my friends that one time. I told him straight up while in the middle of our conversation, I'm like, the only reason why I called you was because I was getting paid to make this phone call. Because if I wasn't getting paid to make this phone call, you wouldn't have talked to me this month. This month, you wouldn't have talked to me this month because I'm about making money, make money for me, man. So either I'm turning a profit from talking to you, or you're going to pay me for what I'm about to do. But one way or another, I'm only having this conversation with you because it financially benefits me. That's it. You know what I mean? And I know some people, oh yeah, you're heartless. You're so no, fuck this shit. You can call me on my day off to be friends. Every other day of the week that is not my day off, when I contact you, it is strictly business. So I tell my homies, I'm off on Thursday. I contact you on Saturday, it is business. That's it. Just because I'm not tied up in the stuff that I'm usually tied up on a Saturday, when I contact you on Saturday, it's not Thursday. I'm working today. It's just that I'm talking to you while I'm working. So this conversation is going to be about making money. So you can set your watch to the kind of conversation that I'm going to have. Before you answer the phone, you see me on the caller ID, you check your calendar. Today's Thursday. I ain't got nothing important to talk to you about. You see me cross your caller ID, you check the calendar. Today Wednesday. I wonder what kind of money opportunity he gonna have me on the phone with today. But freedom seekers, this is going to be the path of intrinsic wealth. So here, money isn't going to be the goal. It's going to be a tool. It's a resource that you use to build a life that actually aligns with your values. The scorecard is going to be internal, not external. So success is going to be measured in autonomy, peace of mind, and time. So instead of conspicuous consumptions, the freedom seeker practices values based spending. They might spend a lot on things that are deeply important to them, like travel, education, or a hobby that brings them genuine joy, but they are going to be incredibly frugal on things that aren't. They'll drive a 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 40-year-old car so that they can afford a 3 month sabbatical. They'll skip the pricey dinners out so that they can max out their retirement accounts. Their spending isn't dictated by trends, it's guided by their own internal compass. So instead of a lifestyle inflation, they practice stealth wealth. When they get a raise, their first thought isn't, what new thing can I buy? But how much of this can I invest? They quietly build their assets behind the scenes. They might be the millionaire next door living in a modest house or driving a very normal car while their net worth grows more and more every year. They know that every dollar not spent on showing off is a dollar that can be put to work buying their freedom. Their job comes from watching their financial independence number get closer, not from the temporary high of a new purchase. So they're going to benefit from getting more financial independence and not pay so much attention on the temporary highs of new performance. Money is a cushion against the harshness of life and the harassment of society. I was gonna wait until Sunday to bring this up, but since you said raise, go ahead. What you got to tell me, Stephen? What you got to tell me? Because I know that you like the only person in the building. You've been working hard, right? So I can only imagine that you got a raise up recently. You should have got that promotion, but I know you had turned down that one promotion. You should have got that promotion because it was a quarter raise and more responsibility, but it was the baseline. Once you get that quarter raise, then you get a dollar, dollar and a half, $2. You get the bonuses and all this other stuff that management gets. The hourly wage workers don't get all that stuff. If you're capped out at an hourly wage worker where you're not going to get any more raises at this level until minimum wage exceeds your paycheck, the best thing for you is to take that quarter raise where that is the lowest that you can get paid in your position and now start getting those raises and promotions because you excel at your job. That's what I would do. So I know you're going to tell me about some raises. Let me know. Now, while he's typing that up, oh, there he goes. I got my review from a raise yesterday and was given a BS reason why I did not get a full raise. I went to the office and went off and was told after a while, no one gets a full raise. Well, you're not supposed to go off on them, bro. So I told you this before on the show. So you were offered a promotion, right? And I told you before, negotiate. The boss is only going to offer you a specific quantity of money. So yeah, okay, fine. I understand. This is the most money that you can give me. I understand that. But can you give me some more PTO time? Can you give me extra vacation time? Can you give me performance bonuses? Because I'm gonna perform that way, right? You guys offered me a promotion before. So if this raise is equal to or less than the promotion price, why not give me that promotion and then give me whatever you're going to give me from the promotion, where the promotion can have the bonus, the extra PTO time, that put me on fucking salary where I can get paid for my presence. But when you're on salary, you're mostly on call. But when you're on salary, guess what? If you're the kind of guy that gets the whole job done in less than 4 hours, you don't have to do shit because you are being paid for a specific quantity of time. Whether you work or not doesn't matter once you're on salary. What matters is that the work got done. So, bro, chill out. We're in the middle of a live podcast. You won't be here barking in your sleep. Anybody told you to talk in your sleep? Now back to what I was saying. No one in the company is getting full raises, but what about other benefits? I told you, negotiate. You went in there and you flipped out on everybody. You're not supposed to flip out on me. I understand this is what you're going to do for me. But is there something else that you can do? Is there somewhere else that you can show me my value? Right? So did you get fired? He almost. She broke down and said no one gets a full raise, and she used that reason because she had to. Right? That's still that's fine, but still in all, you need to go back over there on Monday and say, hey, I apologize for my attitude. I was caught off guard. It startled me because I know that my value is higher than that. I understand that you guys are not giving out full pay raises for the hourly workers. I remember you guys had once offered me a promotion. Can I get that promotion position? You want to ask them, well, in lieu of the raise, can you give me more PTO time? Because you might only have like 14 days of PTO time as a cap, but hey, can you extend that to like 21 days PTO time? Sick days. You might have 3 sick days as a cap. Can you extend that to six days? Right? You have 2 weeks vacation time as a cap. Can y'all extend that to 21 sick days? While they're not going to give you more cash money, fuck, if you said that they got a price match on Roth IRAs and shit, can y'all throw more down on Roth IRA instead of saying, well, if all you can do is give me money, what about stock in the company? You guys are only giving me half of the raise that I'm supposed to have. So if I was supposed to get a $1 raise, you're only giving me a 50-cent raise. But can you give me like $2 a share in stock every paycheck, or not? Not $2 a share every paycheck, but like you're missing like probably 50 cents an hour worth of pay out of a 40-hour week. That's probably like maybe, because that'd be what, $5 for every 10 hours. So you're missing like probably $20 or $40 worth of extra money on your paycheck plus overtime hours, right? So like $50 a week with overtime worth of shares in the company. How much does each share of company cost? If it's like $10 or $15 of shares in the company, all right, well, look, if it's $10 or $15 per share, or if you got a pretty expensive company and it's like $25, $30 a share per company, you tell them, well, hey, how about, since you can only give me half of my raise, how about you give me 1 share of stock in the company for every pay period that I do 40 hours or more of work? Now you're still getting the 50 cents an hour that you earned, but you're also getting an appreciating value in the company, right? There's other ways that you could have did that instead of just saying, fuck that, I want my raise. Fuck that, I want my money. You got to give me something. You give me, you see, notice what I just said. You got to give me something. You don't got to give me exactly what I wanted, but you got to give me something, right? You said, what was the reason? They don't have to have a reason, bro. So you're at the top of your pay grade. That's exactly where he's at. He's at the fucking top of his pay grade, and they're only going to give him the raise that they got to give him to keep him at a certain status above minimum wage. That's it. They're not going to give him much more than that. He says Xana should get hired by people to renegotiate their salaries. I'm going to give you guys in the membership step-by-step guidelines on how to negotiate with your employer on how to improve your raises and your promotions, because I just covered that on the show a few weeks ago. Just last month, I just covered how to negotiate with your boss on how to get hired, how to negotiate with your boss on how to get a promotion or a raise. There's other ways that you can do it. You might not get the dollar for dollar pay scale that you want, but there's other shit that the company does offer that nobody asks for. And since nobody asked for that, nobody gets it. But this is extra shit that is going to go to your manager, because they're going to give it to somebody. They're going to give it to somebody. It's just like in school. There's the dumb kid that asks for extra credit just to keep from failing, and the smart kid that asks for extra credit just to have something to do. The teachers are going to help the kids that want to excel. Your boss is going to help the people that want to succeed. If you're just trying to get by, they don't really give two shits. Well, there's not much we can do. Right? But if you're like, look, stocks and shares in a company. Guess what stocks and shares in a company does? It kind of makes you, outside of a criminal background that would disqualify you, it kind of makes you more of a better candidate for a middle management position. Because if I've got shares in a company, I'm more likely to run the company better because I don't want to lose the money that I've invested into this company. Shares in a company is more job security, especially when you have shares in a company that's not a publicly traded company where you lose your shares when you lose your employment. He said your child is calling you. He having nightmares. I know the answer to the question. Get out. That's what. That's what the employer is going to do. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a private company. And with a private company, the private company is going to have in-house shares to employees only, which also means that you as an employee can get stock in the company. It's non-decision making stock. It's not priority stock, but it is stock in the company. And when you start getting ownership in the company, you start qualifying more effectively for leadership positions because you have a massive investment in the company. You want to see the company succeed. So you will be a better leader in that company, right? Now, the other side of that is that you have the capabilities of selling your shares back to the company and getting your money back. Oh no, I didn't tell you to ask them to buy stock. I told you to ask them to give you stock in place of the pay that they weren't giving you. Them assigning you stock is not the same as you buying stock. But once they assign the stock to you, it's yours, which means that you can sell it back to the company. Not yesterday, but I have asked. No, the stock is not for sale, but the stock is available for acquisition. You just got to talk to the right person in HR. Is the company on the stock market? No, it's a private company, so it's not on the stock market, but the company does have shares. The best joke is when you get free stock in the company and then the company goes bankrupt. Well, see, that's exactly what I was just saying. If you're getting free stocks in the company, where it's in lieu of cash, they're giving you stock in the company, then before anything happens, you sell the stock that they gave you back to the company, back to the company. Now, when you sell the stock that they gave you back to the company, they're going to give you the dollar value of the stock when you sold it. That's another way to get money out of the company. Not every private company will do that. Waffle House did it. McDonald's did it. Papa John's do it. Bird Scooter does it. Companies do it, but you're not asking them to sell you the stock. You're asking them to assign you shares of the stock in lieu of monetary compensation. That's a different discussion. And the person that you're talking to might not know the answer to that question. So just to be safe, she'll say no. But it's like, oh, who do I talk to about shares in the company? Because you might not know, but somebody knows. Nancy might not know, but Karen knows. Karen knows, and that's why Karen ain't saying shit. Now, with the financial freedom, instead of debt for status, financial freedom chasers are going to focus on building a fortress of security. So they're going to have their top priority is going to be creating a safety net. They build solid emergency funds to handle any of life's curveballs. They aggressively pay down debt, especially high interest credit cards, because they know that debt is the anchor holding them in a job that they might not love or in some situations extremely despise. They see debt as a claim on their future time and energy, not as a tool for status. Is that I think Enron employees lost their retirement when the company went bankrupt. Yeah, probably so. A lot of people put their money in. Okay, I'm not telling you to put all your money into one basket. What I'm telling you is to have somebody put money into that basket for you. And then when they put the money into that basket for you, instead of you leaving it there, you sell the shit that's in that basket so that you can get some money out. That's That's what I'm saying. So instead of leaving this for my retirement for when I turn 70, where I got another 30 years left, instead of leaving it there for 30 years, every 6 months I'm selling whatever the fuck they gave me. So if I lose my job in January, I sold all the stock in December. Every 6 months, whatever they gave me, every 6 months I sell it. I got 2 weeks until I graduate college. After that, I will run my vacation and come up with a plan. Tell them to fix it or take this 2 weeks. If you've got a backup plan for another source of income, then you can always go ahead and call yourself following that new income. But if this is a stable income and you don't have an alternative source of income that can sustain your standard of living, because I know you got 2 jobs, where one source of income sustains your total standard of living, then don't do that. What you do is you ask them for negotiations, like more vacation time. They might give you like 1 hour of vacation time for every 8 hours of work that you do. You can negotiate that into 1.5 hours of vacation time for every 8 hours of work that you do. You can negotiate it to where you're stacking your vacation time faster. They may still cap you on 14 days of vacation time, but if you negotiate it where they're giving you 1.5 hours instead of 1 hour of vacation time, you can reach that 14 days of vacation time faster, right? Which then means that instead of you working 5 days a week every week of the month, you're gonna work like 4 days a week, some weeks out of the month, and then take 3 days off, 3 paid days off. Do you know how sexy that is for you to have a 5-day schedule and 2 days off, and have those 2 days off be paid days off? That's not PTO time. Like, that really makes your paycheck look a lot bigger. So there's other stuff that you can negotiate instead of just saying, oh, if I don't get exactly what I'm looking for, fuck you guys, I quit. No. What can you give me until I can produce better somewhere else? That's all that matters. What are you capable of giving me until I can produce something better somewhere else? Then when I produce something better somewhere else, I'm leaving on merit because I have something better, not on resentment and retaliation because I'm pissed off at how you treated me. Two different things. One of the best secrets in life is the word no. But actually, one of the best kept secrets in life is the opportunity of an alternative. Most people do not look for an alternative. They look for one way, and if that way is blocked, they get pissed off and flip the table, piss on the balls. Austin 316, tearing stuff up, fuck everybody in the house, right? And then walk out. But you got to find another way. Selling a stock every few months is a genius plan, and in-run employees would have been better off if they did it. I know. I'm gonna tell you something. I worked for Waffle House for a long period of time, and they gave you stock on a regular basis. Like, they just took it straight out of your paycheck. They doubled down on top of that shit. When Hurricane Katrina happened, I walked away with like $30,000 worth of stock. I walked away with a shit ton of money, bro. I was just sitting over there like, damn, I was putting in a shit ton of overtime, bro. I was working like 120 hours a week. I was putting in money. So when they was giving me stock for all that, I told myself I'm about to quit. So because I'm about to quit, I came to work, worked harder and better than I ever worked before. Even though I was already outworking 5 people, now I started outworking 10. They started trying to promote me to a regional manager. During this time, I was selling off all the stock that I had. Once I got that paycheck, soon as it cleared the bank, I came in and I was like, hey, I got to give y'all my 2-week notice. I even trained my replacement, which was 10 people. I trained 10 people to replace 10 people and a manager to replace me, so that when I left, they knew who I was, the legendary grill operator. I was the one that rocked the show. And at the end of the day, everything I went in there to get, I got and I walked out with, because I preset my ability to pull out all of my assets out of the company, used all of my vacation time, used up all of my sick days, grabbed all of my stocks, and then walked out the door. A lot of people get pissed off and they say, fuck this, and walk out the door first and then say, oh shit, I could have tried this and I could have tried that. You burn bridges before you had a chance to walk back across that bitch. You never burn bridges. Soon as she tell you some shit that you don't want to hear, I understand. Let me call you back on this. And I told you that, Steve. I told you that last month. Soon as she told you some shit that you didn't want to hear and you wanted to curse her out. All right, I understand what you got to tell me. Let me take some time to think about this and I'm going to get back and talk to you about it. That's what should have happened. Then you go to the car, you beat up the steering wheel, you go down the street, you cuss up a storm, you chug a couple of beers, you go to the house, you take a nap, you smoke a blunt, you wake up the next day. Not necessarily all in that order. Then after you get your shit together, what do they offer? What can I get? And then go back to the boss and say, okay, look, I understand y'all are only doing X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. What do you think about this? The worst they can say is no, but the best they can say is yes. He said, I burn my bridges and have no chance but go forward in life. He said, what is your take on giving the notice at all? Some people say it's better not to give them the notice. Well, okay, if you're going to no call, no show on a job, the problem that you have now is technology is not going to be in your favor. So when you no call, no show on a job, you will be fired from that job for being unreliable. Now, when employers do an employee background check on you, they will find any job that you've referenced. If that job has something negative to say about you, it can be found. They don't always say nothing positive about you. They don't notate how awesome of an employee you are. It's like 1-star Google reviews. Everybody who has something negative to say about you will calculate those 1-star reviews against you. Nobody will put up a fucking 5-star review for you, but if they've got a 1-star, they'll get you. So when you say, I don't want to be here no more, today's going to be my last day, blah, 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 that's not how it works. Okay? It's not going to be good for you. The best way to do it, 3-day notice is still the same. The best way to do it. Most jobs offer some kind of PTO time. Most jobs offer some kind of sick days. Some jobs even have some vacation days in there as well. The best way to do this is, especially if you can get 2 days off in a row, just talk to your boss. Say, hey, I want to cash in my PTO time. I want to cash in my vacation time. And I want to cash in my sick days. Back to back. All the way across. Starting from my first day back at work until that time is up. They don't have to know why. You just tell them that's what I'm going to do. Now, once they grant that for you, you've been taken off the schedule for the next 2 or 3 weeks because you're on vacation. Now, in that time period, you draft a document that says, effective the date of your return, I will no longer be employed by this company. That's your 2-week notice. The reason why people will warn you not to give advance notice for termination is because some employers will resent that action and treat you negatively or terminate your employment sooner. Instead, strategically, if you're not willing to maintain your position with the company, your most effective way is to remove yourself from the payroll first by setting up advance pay with sick days, vacation days, all this other shit, right? You can even lie to the boss and say that you had a family emergency, you got a funeral to go to out of town, whatever the case may be. You got a medical appointment you got to go to, blah, 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 blah. But they're going to want you to bring back documentation before you can come back to work. So you want to be careful about that medical appointment situation. But it's like, yeah, there's a death in the family. I want to use this PTO time. I got to go help a family member with a situation, babysit some kids, some shit like that. Don't make it seem like I hate this fucking job and I'm trying to find a way out. You want to make it seem like I love this place, but I've got some personal issues that's distracting me from my employment. Just give me some time to work on this. They will give you all the time that they can to help you get back to work. while you're covered pay wise, give them that notice and you're out the door. Yeah. And during this timeline, since you knew you were going to quit, you should have cashed in on all of your stocks and bonds as well. So that by the time your PTO time is over, you would have cashed those checks so that when they take you off of the schedule, when they take you out of payroll, you have already gotten reimbursed on all shares that you owed in the stock. Did you get a notification that you were fired? Not a lot of people get that notification. A lot of the times these days, the boss will call you on the phone and tell you don't come to work today on your way to work. Or they'll tell you to bring your uniform on your way in so that you can leave it at work, which they typically aren't supposed to recycle those, but a lot of companies do, especially if it's a manual labor job that they don't have enough uniforms to go around and those uniforms don't last. Is if you got time owed, cash it in. You want to cash all the time owed in before you decide to quit, before you decide to notify them that you're going to quit. Get all of that in. Now, for the financial freedom builders, instead of social media flexing, they're going to practice invisible upgrades. So their upgrades aren't going to be for show. They might invest in a course to learn a new skill, hire a coach, or go to therapy to improve their mental well-being. They might upgrade their future by putting more money towards their kids' education, or by diversifying their investment portfolios. They might fix their old car so that it runs better. They might buy a second backup car so that they have another old car that they can fall back on while their current car is in the shop. uh, you know, the inconveniences in life that they dealt with to get by, they might fix those inconveniences to remove stress out of their life. But they will be buying things like, if they don't have a garbage can, they'll buy a garbage can so that they don't have to throw the trash in a bag that's just sitting in the middle of the room somewhere. Stuff to that effect. You know, but these are investments in themselves, and a lot of times in their future self, providing long-term fulfillment instead of short-term admiration. So that sounds like a good plan. It makes it easy for them and you as well. Well, yeah, that actually works when they're going to fire you, because if you're talking to the boss and the boss is like, "Man, I'm talking to the higher ups, you know, I'm going to have to ask you to take some time off," and it's like, "Look, hey, I understand. I know y'all got to talk. I tell you what we do. Let's cash in on my sick days, my vacation days, my PTO days. Y'all give me a few weeks off so that I can, uh, 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 decamp a little bit. You guys figure out what y'all are going to do with this situation, and then before I come back to work, we'll renegotiate the situation." By cashing in all of your stuff before they decide to fire you, by cashing in all your stuff and say, "Hey, let's just put this off until later. I'm not coming into work anyway. You've already taken me off the schedule. Let's just," as long as it's not a heat of the moment termination, a lot of the times HR will agree with that. Because as long as your ass don't show up, nobody gives a fuck that you're not here, because the goal is for you not to be here. So you say, "Hey, I understand that y'all are reconsidering my position. This is how you do it. It's better for you and it's better for them because you're volunteering to remove yourself from the visibility of the colleagues and coworkers that is expecting you to get fired. So you're making it easier for them to transition you out." He said, "I did go off, thinking it would be all right." I was mad. And a few times she said, "You are not letting me get a word in." You're right. Because it's not okay. That's not a good position. He said, "If you resign, they cannot fire you." Yes, they can technically fire you before you resign. But see, if you resign the way I'm telling you to resign, there's no reason for them to fire you. That's one of the reasons why people are afraid to give their 2 weeks in, because they believe that I'm going to quit today, Saturday, and I'm going to work 2 more weeks and then stop working, finish out the pay period, get a full paycheck, and then stop working. Your employer can double back and say, well, you don't have to finish the week. You can stop today. We already have your replacement. They can fire you when you resign. But if you've already cashed in your time off, your paid time off, it's already scheduled to come to you. You're not on the schedule to show up. You've already been replaced on the operating floor. They cannot fire you and take away your vacation time, your paid time off, your sick days that you've already used for compensation. They can't take it from you now. After they cash it in, it's written in stone. You're just guaranteed to get this money. Now is the time to resign. But as long as you owe them time for the money that they're going to give you, yeah, they can fire you whenever they want to. Because a lot of states are right to work states, and right to work states means that you have the right to get fired because your shoes are untied. You got the right to get fired because you got mismatched socks. You got the right to get fired because they don't like the texture of your hair. They can fire you for any reason. For any reason that you get fired off of a job that is not because of poor job performance, where you were not doing what they hired you to do, is a termination that is considered unfair. Therefore, you get workman's comp or unemployment compensation, where they pay you to stay home 60% of your income to stay home for a year until you find a new job. You still would be escorted off the property. No, you would not. You're only going to be escorted off the property if you're in a situation where you are a nuisance on the job. If they call you down to the office, you voluntarily go down to the office. They want to talk to you about your situation. You want to talk to them about cashing in a lot of your sick days, vacation days, this, that, and the third. You want to take a little bit of time off, think about what you've been doing, reconsider coming back and performing more effectively. You're volunteering to remove yourself out of operations so that you can either regroup and come back as a better employee, or after that, just not come back. They're not going to escort you off. They only escort you off when you refuse to leave, when you refuse to stop showing up to work. The way Donald Trump had to lock the Department of Education because they kept coming to work because they are salary. They didn't have to show up. As soon as he said, y'all don't got a job no more, you're getting paid till September, you're fired today, though, they could have stayed at home and got paid till September. But they want to be at work. So he has to lock the doors because they want to be there. They don't have to get, they don't get paid for their presence. They got paid for a salary. They could have stayed at home, play the Xbox until the check stopped coming in, right? That's when you get escorted off from work. When you refuse to leave the job, like your identity is this job, so you've got to be here because that's who you are. It's not about the money anymore. That's when they got to escort you off of the job. But if it was about the money, it's like, you're going to pay me to stay at home, bro. Fuck, I'll stay at home, bro. He said if you ask to cash in all the time, they will probably know what you are up to. Well, no, not really. So here's the thing. If you're asking for to cash in all of your time, the goal, even if they do know what you're up to, the goal is that, say, for example, your boss is disappointed in your performance for whatever reason. They kind of want to suspend you, take you off the schedule or whatever. There's a thing called saving face. Saving face means that I will tell whatever lie you want me to tell so that you don't have to be here no more, so that I can protect your reputation and my integrity as your authority figure. So if you're willing to voluntarily remove yourself from this situation, whatever story you want me to tell everybody else, that's what the fuck I'll tell them. But your ass ain't coming to work no more. Because that's what I want from you, is for you not to come to work no more. If you're like, fuck that, I'm going to work until the police escort me off the building, that's when they escort you off. But if it's like, look, hey, look, tell them I had a family emergency, I'm going to take some time off from work, take the rest of the month off. But by the time they realize that I'm no longer an employee here, I would have been gone for 2 pay periods. Then the boss gets a letter that says I quit. You know what I mean? But they didn't want you there in the first place. I said, why would you want to stay at a job that you don't like? Because you can't afford to work anywhere else, and you don't have the skills and qualifications to get a better job. That's why majority of people who work for somebody else works on a job that they don't like. Is it time to run that vacation, line up a new, better employment? I have been here for years and I'm burned out. They can have fun finding someone to run the warehouse solo at times in a pinch. That's a good way to go, Stephen. Is it sorry you will be you'll be dragged off the property? Nope, that's not gonna happen. Because they get your CDL license and run away. That's one way to do it. FX knows. FX has an idea, but okay. So what I'm talking about is like you having respect for yourself and then showing integrity to the company. What you guys are thinking about is the caught off guard, um, you getting fired because you fucked up on a job. You didn't think they caught you, but they did. It doesn't matter if it was you and another employee. It doesn't matter if you did something in the company, like stole something, broke something, lost something, cost the customer something. You were disrespectful or you came late too many times, whatever the case may be. You know, where you either accidentally fucked up but you knew you were fucking up, or you deliberately fucked up knowing that you're fucking up will get you fired. Those are situations where there's like zero tolerance. It's like stuff like they're like, no, you just gotta go, right? Caught abruptly, like, well, you know, if you come late tomorrow, you don't have a job, and then you come late tomorrow, kind of situation. Like there isn't enough time to negotiate how you part ways. But if you know that you were late yesterday and you know that they're likely going to fire you for being unreliable, today you can say, hey, look, boss, the reason why I'm late, I got all these things going on. Let me take a few weeks off from work to get my personal affairs in order so I can stop coming to work late. They will give you that time off instead of you coming late to work tomorrow. And then instead of coming back to work, because whatever the fuck's going on in your personal life got nothing to do with you coming to work late, you just quit. Get you another job. But now you're not being fired for being tardy. You were quitting because you relocated, and it's a win-win for everybody. So I want you to pause and ask yourself, which of these paths feel more familiar to you guys? Look at the last few financial decisions. Were they for applause or were they for freedom? I want you guys to be brutally honest about it. Recognizing which game you're playing is going to be the first and most important step in changing the outcomes. Michael says, how many write-ups before they fire you? Typically, it is supposed to be 3 write-ups, but you're fired on a third. So technically, you only get 2 write-ups. The third write-up is the last one. You get your first write-up, which is like a written warning. Your second write-up is a demand for improvement, and a third write-up is typically the last one. Like you're gone because of this right kind of thing. Then the other thing that you have is that a lot of times you can have different write-ups for different things, where you have like 8 or 12 or 15 different write-ups for different things. Because they might only give you 3 write-ups for being tardy, but they might also give you write-up for your attitude. They might give you a write-up for disrespecting a customer. They might give you a write-up for a register coming up short if you're working in a business. But the three times that you can come late for work, and then they might have that in a season where it might be three write-ups in 3 months, and then you might only get 2 write-ups in 6 months, and you might have a culmination of 12 write-ups over the course of like 5 or 10 years. But that quantity of write-ups negatively impacts your ability to get a promotion. Well, you got 10 write-ups, so I can't promote you, right? Because I didn't get a write-up. I know you just don't want to be there no more. Because if you're in Florida, it's 2 a.m. Yes, sir, it is. Does an ex-employer letter of recommendation mean anything to the new employer? Yes. If your last employer has something positive to say about you, you want to reference that with your new employer, especially if it is in the same industry, because you have years of experience. You can lie about why you quit the job. You are more likely to get a positive recommendation letter from an employer when you respectfully bow out instead of being forced to retire. And leaving on a good foot leaves positive referrals for you to go work with somebody else. Now, me and Michael have said before on a lot of times that some of the worst employees we'll get a good reference to just so that they can get out of our payroll. Like you're their problem now. Yeah, that's the best person in the world. Be lying my ass off. But the principle of the fact is, yes, a positive reference from a previous employer is going to go a long way for you because that's reputation. No reference from a previous employer is equivalent to a bad reference from a previous employer because every person who leaves their last job on bad terms doesn't want to allow their new job to talk to their last job about why they left. But you're not leaving on good standards if you don't calculate this and say, hey, I kind of want to do maybe if you have a black employee, give them the best reference again. Now, uh chasing applause doesn't just cost you guys money. You guys got to remember that it's going to cost you your well-being, and this is going to be the pursuit of validation driven wealth that comes with a steep psychological price. And seeing these costs clearly is key to finding the motivation to change. So at the heart of this is what's known as self-determination theory. This theory says that all humans have three core psychological needs: autonomy, which they need to feel in control of their own lives; competence, they need to feel effective; and relatedness, where they need to feel connected to others. Everybody needs this, right? When you build wealth for freedom, you're directly feeding these needs. Savings and investings boost your autonomy by giving you more choices. Learning about finances and watching your net worth grow builds your sense of competency. And having the security to invest in meaningful relationships depends or actually deepens your sense of relatedness. And then because you are getting higher valued relationships, you are now connecting with people not because they can cover the spread when you're falling short, but because you value that person and that person values you, where you guys benefit from your existence, not because that's the person that you bitch with when problems get tough, but because that's the person that you invest with when y'all got extra money to invest. That's the person that you talk to when I'm trying to make big money moves. That's a person that I talk to when things are going good and I want them to go better, right? If you had a friend that would put $10,000 in your pocket when you call, that person you would call all the time. If you had a friend that came to get $10,000 from you every time they called, when they called, you wouldn't want to answer the phone. The difference is that if you benefit from the relationships that you get in, you are going to be more willing to be involved in those relationships. And if those people benefit from you equivocally, you two will look forward to each other's time together instead of loathing while entertaining this connection. A connection that you deal with out of indebtedness, that you might feel burdensome, is going to wear down on the energy that you have. It's going to wear down on your emotional state. But a relationship that you look forward to, that you're excited about, that's that dopamine hit. It's a different situation. The stress from talking to somebody that gets on your damn nerves builds negative cortisol. But the dopamine hits from the person that you look forward to seeing, that's going to bring you a second breath of wind. But when you chase wealth for applause, you actually undermine all of these needs. The pressure to maintain an image eats away at your autonomy. Your self-worth becomes tied to shifting social standards. Just like I told y'all the story about the kid who got the 200 something dollar pair of Jordans, but because they were six rings, they're like the Mexican Jordans. So people were mocking the kid, even though it was Jordans and it was expensive as fuck. The other kids who had a different brand of Jordans was mocking the kid who had Jordans because he was trying to keep up with the Joneses and keeping up to social standards, which hurts your sense of competency. And then surprisingly, research shows that a heavy focus on materialism can even damage your relationships. as it links to lower empathy and more social comparison. You're going to connect with people that value what you have. And then when you can no longer continue to provide what you have to that type of relationship, those people end up leaving you because you are no longer providing them with the stuff that they came to use. We typically call them gold diggers, but you put yourself in a lower value relationship. He said, never loan a friend money, he becomes a servant. I disagree. Never give a friend money because you become a stimulus check. You should always, whenever money is being passed to a friend, loan it to your friend with interest, where you turn a profit on providing money to your friend. If they're unwilling to pay that interest, one, you're not going to loan them anything, or two, if you've already loaned them, you're not loaning them anything else. You want to, three, get that loan on a contract where if you got to liquidate that loan, that's a tax deduction. It's a loss on an investment because you invested on somebody's debt, peer-to-peer lending, and they didn't pay you back. But the contract that you have with your friend, it can be an open-ended contract that is collectible inside of 10 years, depending on what it is, that clearly dictates that your friend who borrowed money from you owes you the principal plus interest compounded monthly until the debt is paid. And no new debt can be acquired from this same borrower until such time as the original debt has been paid. So if you loan them $100 at 10% interest, they're giving you $110 for every month that they have the shit. So if they hold it, where $10 is going to be $10 every month. Now they owe you $220 after the first year of interest. And that's not even the compounded value. That's just the basic 10% for every month that they owe you the $100. If they decide to never give you the interest back, but they gave you back the original $120 back, they can always come back and say, hey, yeah, can I borrow X, Y, and Z from you? Let's look at the last loan I gave you. Well, you borrowed you borrowed the 120, you didn't pay back the interest. You currently owe X, Y, and Z dollars worth of interest. And according to the agreement that you and I have, I'm not supposed to give you anything else until you pay me back the rest of the money. They can argue about it, but hey, we had an agreement, bro. So while I'm not going to pressure you as my homie to give me back the rest of this money, I can charge it off as a deduction. At the end of the day, the contract prevents me ethically from loaning you anything until you square my debt with you. We can still be friends, but you just can't borrow nothing else from me. Mr. Wonderful said that when his family came for money, he gave them a one-time gift because he knew they would not pay it back. That was a financially irresponsible move. However, if he would have calculated that as charitable donations, he could have wrote that off on his taxes. I will not give any family members a one-time financial gift these days. Back when I was financially irresponsible and completely unknowledgeable about this shit, I might have would have agreed with Mr. Wonderful. But today, over the past 3 years, with all the research and knowledge that I've gained, any family member that is only coming to me for the sake of resources is not going to find resources. They're going to find a contractual obligation that requires collateral investment where you got something to lose. And that's the other half of that loan. Because if dude says, well, I need $120 or $200 for his car note. Okay, well, I put a title lien on the car. You're going to give me back the money that you borrowed, plus the cost of putting on and taking off the title loan, plus interest. You don't got to give me, but, I can repossess your car. It don't matter if the bank owes the car money too. We just put that bitch up in an auction, and then the bank get their money and I get my money too. Is it good luck getting your money back? You'll be spending time in court, leaving a friend. No, you wouldn't. So this is the thing, Michael. If it's all about the money, then yeah, you're like, oh no, fuck you. I'll take you to small claims court and sue you for $500 so that I can get my money back. That's not what it's about. What it's about is not allowing yourself to be used. If you got a friend that's a good friend that's actually going to pay you back with interest, they borrow $100, they bring you back 120. You only ask for 110. you know that the next time they ask you for some money, that they're good for it. That's ethical credit. You got the kind of friend that's only using you because they know that you got money. They're going to borrow $100 from you and then make up excuses as to why they can't give you the money back. I had a friend at one time that borrowed money from me, and it took him 2 years to get me the money back. But every time he talked to me, I'd be like, man, you ain't even paid me back for the last time we had talked about money. That's what we did until he paid me back. So you and I can't do nothing on the same scale as what you owed me because you didn't pay me back the last time, which makes you unreliable. So you tell me, oh yeah, there's a big money move. Shit, well, you gotta have to break me off in advance on what you owe me from the last big money move before I get into the next big money move. Or you could take what you owe me out of the last big money move, invest it in the next big money move, and then pay me the profits off for the next big money move. So I don't have to put money up front because you still owe me from the last deal. But it's not about, oh, well, good luck getting the money. The truth of the matter is, if you're giving money away to your friends and giving money away to your family based on merit, based on integrity, social validation, if you're willing to give it away, you're willing to lock it into a contract where they can't come back and get nothing else from you, because every time they start asking about it, you're like, hey, with the contract, I got a document where you and I agree that you're not going to do this again, and I'm not going to allow you to do it again until you reciprocate on this exact contractual agreement, even with a contract. I just make life easier by not loaning, period. You used to make life easier by just giving it to them because they're a friend. Here, co-sign a car for me. Nope, not co-signing nothing. That's one thing I'm going to tell you. You don't co-sign anything for anybody. You don't co-sign anything for anybody. I know I did it with my homeboy when I bought his car for him twice, matter of fact. But these days, after I learned, you don't co-sign on assets, especially assets like 20, 30, $40,000 car. You don't co-sign on that. Because if they don't pay it, you got to buy that car. Now, if you want that car, then you co-sign on it. But if you don't want that car, you don't co-sign on nothing that you're not willing to pay for. What you do is you contract with them that, hey, they need a down payment on the car. You'll front them the money for the down payment on the car, but you'll put a title loan on the car for the down payment. It affects your friendship. Bro, your friend coming and asking you for money affects your friendship. So why do I give a shit about me putting a contract to me actually giving you the money? Oh, I don't want to ruin our friendship. Soon as my friend came and asked me for some fucking money, you fucked up the friendship. It fucks up the friendship. If you have the money to give, you give. No, you don't. If you have the money to give, you lock it up in a contract with interest where you can utilize that as a financial investment, as a tax deduction at the end of the year, where you took a loss because they didn't pay you back, or you got some gains because they paid you back. You don't give it. If you've got money to give, you invest it in yourself. You don't give shit. Because if you can afford it and it qualifies for charitable tax deduction, that's fine. Exactly. If you can benefit from the transaction some kind of way, then it's fine. If if it makes you feel good inside, that is going to be doing it for applause. That is going to be doing it for social validation. I gave money to a friend in need because the friend was in need, and I can tell everybody how I gave to the friend in need when the friend was in need, so that everybody can tell me that I'm a good person because I give my last dollar to the friend in need. That is doing it for applause. That is social validation. But if you really needed this fucking money, then you'll sign this contract and you'll make monthly payments until you pay me back. And I'll turn a profit off of that, like a small bank. I could be the neighborhood bank. Ain't no FDICs over here, but I could be the neighborhood bank. He said, how much do you have to give to benefit? Well, Michael, you have to look at the opportunity cost. Exactly what am I giving? Why am I giving it? And what would I even remotely get in return? That's the question. That's the big question on the table. If I'm not getting nothing out of this, then why am I even involved in it? I don't give a fuck what's going on with you. Why am I getting involved with this? How many billionaires go through the hood and pay rent for all of the poor folks? Y'all seen, what was his name, Kevin Kaepernick, out there spending $250,000 as a tax deduction for donating food to the homeless, feeding all the homeless people out in the street. But did he pay rent for 250,000 Americans so that they would not have to worry about their bills for that month? No, because Certain things don't benefit and certain things do. And if there's no benefit, you don't do it. Is I once paid down a payment uh, on an apartment and first months on a friend who was messing up in life, and he put his wife's name on it, not his, then got a PFA against him and was homeless again. Woo! He said, Stephen, are you still with him? I let him stay with me after that, and he kept drinking and messing up. And I'm done helping friends after that, and the friends in need. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. So if you hold them down on faith, some people will take advantage of that because you're a good friend. You got friends that'll borrow money from you, hold that money for so long, you got to borrow it back. You still find yourself friends with these people. You kicked them out though, but you're still cool. You just don't talk to them that much, right? You got friends that will borrow from you for borrow so much and hold it for so long that you got to borrow it back in order to get the money back. So when you are in a financial bind and you call that friend that still owes you $5,000 from something else, and you call them and ask them for 1,000, they can't tell you no. They owe you $5,000. That's a guaranteed financial contribution to your indebtedness because you already fronted them way more than what you're asking for. But they're giving it back to you now that you're in need. If you put yourself in a situation where I'm only willing to lend out what I actually don't need, and I'm only going to lend out what you're going to give me back in interest, and I'm not going to lend nothing else out until I get reimbursed, that actually draws a line on all my friends. Because if you borrow $500 from me, Michael, and Steven said he needed $250, I can't. I loaned the money out to Michael, and Michael never gave it back to me. So if you want the $500, you got to go collect it from Michael. That was a few years ago. Let's say exactly. I learned all this stuff over the last few years, and now these days I'm like, no, there's another way to do this. There's another way to do this where it benefits me and it benefits them. But if it doesn't benefit them, it better benefit me, because if it doesn't benefit me, I'm not doing it. It benefits them because I'm helping them out, but it's got to benefit me too. I don't need to feel good because I did something for you. Fuck that shit. This is going to bring us to a strange phenomenon researchers are calling the materialism paradox. Study after study shows that people who place a high value on wealth, status, and image report lower life satisfaction, more depression and anxiety, and more fragile self-esteem. You don't think about this, but you would assume getting the things that you want would make you happy. But when those wants are driven by what other people think, they create a um, hedonic treadmill. The thrill of a new purchase wears off fast, and you need an even bigger, more expensive hit to get the same feeling. It's a cycle that looks a lot like an addiction. You're not just buying a car, you're chasing a fleeting feeling of admiration. The chase often leads to ambition as pain avoidance. For many, the relentless drive to earn and display more and more stuff is really about running away from feelings of inadequacy. He said, right now I'm just focusing on myself. I'm not selfish, just focusing on myself. No, you're smart. That's what happened. Because all of the money that you wasted helping other people put you in a fucked up financial position, and now you are dealing with things that you otherwise would have been able to cover had you not gave away all of that extra money trying to be a good friend. It's not being selfish, it's being smart. Nowadays, smart people are not just giving money away to the people that they know just because they got it. You can invest in somebody else when you see the true potential in that person. You're not investing in that person just because that's your homeboy from way back when, because they may not be reliable. There's a lot of times people say you can't start up businesses with friends, and you can't start up businesses with friends for two reasons. One, because they're going to feel entitled And they're either going to take more money out of the business than what they deserve, or they're not going to do as much work as you and expect to split the shit 50-50 because y'all are supposed to be good friends. Now, what's going to happen is that you're going to resent your friend because they're either not doing enough or taking too much out of the pot, which negatively impacts your ability to make yours. But with a stranger, they want to be treated fairly, so they're going to treat you fairly. With a friend, there's a level of entitlement. There's a lower level of respect for you because we allow ourselves to be devalued by our friends. That's how we show we have good friendship. I can rib on you the way you rib on me, right? But each time that your friend bails you out of bullshit, your friend loses respect for you. Each time you bail your friend out of bullshit, you lose respect for your friend. Y'all formulate a trauma bond of bailing each other out of bullshit. But the problem comes in that is that you now say, hey, X, Y, and Z friend, let's do something with money, and it doesn't work out well. Because I would be crazy to borrow money from a friend if I can't buy them back the same day. Example, I may not have enough money on me to purchase something at the time. That is it. Special shout out to Sean Banks. He's back again. Special shout out to Sean Banks. But that's the idea. So, like for example, like what you're talking about, Michael. So if I was in a situation where I didn't have enough money to put gas in my car needed gas started for me to get home, but I get paid tomorrow, I'm like, hey, front me some money for gas, bro. I got you, right? And then as soon as I get my money, I'm gonna give you some gas. I'm gonna give you the money back, and then I'll give you a little bit of money on top of that shit because you helped me out when I didn't have gas. But it's way worse with family because family will remind you of that one time when you were 16 and they did something that did not even equal what you're going through right now, and that's why they're so entitled when you're 40. Yeah, family is way worse, way worse. He said, resentment is a naked sword that needs a sleeve on it. It is, but it'll cut everybody around it. It'll cut everybody around. Is it family business only works with wife and kids? Actually, the family business, truthfully, the family business only works with the parent and the child. That's what a family business works. The family business doesn't work with the wife and the husband. And the reason why the family business doesn't work with the wife and the husband is because the behavior patterns of the wife and or the husband in some situations is brought to work with you. So when your relationship is on the rocks at the house, your business is on the rocks on the job. When y'all break up and get a divorce, you liquidate the business. With parent-child businesses, if the child wants to do that business with you, you teach the child how to run the business, and they will run that business just as good, if not better than you, because a lot of the times the children are doing it for external validation, where you praise them for doing a good job of running a business. They want to be praised by their mom or dad, so they will run this business better than anybody has ever run a business ever. Those family businesses work well because as long as you're teaching them, they're learning. And as long as they're taking what you teach them and applying that, they're doing good. And you're going to praise them. That relationship will always be rock solid. When there's a fallout in the business, you guys are going to work on it together because it's an unexpected circumstance. When you think about the one kid that fucks everything up, that kid is not getting a CEO position in the business because that kid is going to fuck up the money. Um, a husband and wife relationship is probably going to get along better than a brother sister relationship because a brother sister relationship, they have had to depend on each other, and the value and respect for one another is not as high as a husband and wife building an empire together. So yes, a husband wife relationship will work better kin wise than a brother sister relationship or a brother brother relationship or a sister sister relationship. But that's true for Western families. Yeah, yeah. You are right. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, even in the Eastern families, um, when they get a divorce, the separation of assets sometimes happens. Now, when you're looking at high wealth relationships, we can get a divorce, and unless you're selling all of your shares of the company to me, we still work together as ex-wife and ex-husband, because we're not going to let the business fail. It doesn't matter if we're married or not. You know, this is our livelihood, and we're going to keep this shit afloat. We're going to be divorced, living as husband and wife on his job. You got some high wealth people that get divorced in private and still carry the facade of still being married, but they live in two different houses on two different sides of town. You know, but low status individuals, low income individuals, as soon as the relationship starts fucking up, everybody knows. You, like, you tear up the whole house, you tear up the whole business, you tear everything down. That's why you got to contract everything out, so that the shit don't go south before you get everything situated. So take this for example. Someone who grew up with very little in their childhood might overspend on luxury goods to create a visible barrier between their present self and their painful past. The ambition isn't about building a joyful future, it's about escaping a ghost from the past. This is a direct path to burnout, because you're not running towards something joyful, you're running away from something painful. This is going to be one of the reasons why people are wastefully spending right now. So the mindset is also going to create a state of chronic financial anxiety, because even with high incomes, applause chasers often live with a constant hum of financial stress, because their lifestyle depends entirely on their income. Any threat to that income, uh, market downturn, layoffs, become a threat to their whole identity. Recent surveys consistently find that the high cost of living is a top stressor for families. The applause chaser feels this intensely because they have no buffer. They have the expensive house, but no emergency fund. They have the luxury car, but are one paycheck away from disaster. This isn't freedom, it's a gilded cage. And maybe the worst cost of all of the erosion of your authentic self. That's going to be the biggest part of it, the erosion of your authentic self. Because when your life becomes a performance, you risk losing touch with who you really are. You start making career choices based on the prestige of the title, not the fulfillment of the work. You pick up hobbies based on how they'll look on Instagram, not what you actually enjoy. Over time, the line between the performer and the person blurs, leading to a profound sense of emptiness. You have everything you were told to want, you got it all, yet you feel hollow because the person on stage isn't who you really are. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warns about this thousands of years ago, arguing that chasing unstable desires leads to a life that feels perpetually unfinished. So if you're always looking for the next external milestone to prove your worth, you'll never feel like you've ever arrived. The goalpost just keeps moving further and further back. So I want you to take a moment. Is this pursuit of wealth bringing you more peace or more anxiety? Is it building your confidence or making it more fragile? The financial cost is what shows up on your bank statements, but the psychological cost is what shows up in your life. And that's what I was trying to get you guys to understand over the last couple of hours on the show. We've been here for a while. If the path of applause is a psychological trap, then the path to freedom is the escape route. But this escape doesn't start with a new budgeting app. It starts with a profound internal shift. It's going to start with redefining your whys. The blueprint for true freedom is built on one core understanding. Money is a servant, not a master. It's the root of all evils, but it works for me. Right? It's a tool that you use to build a life that you consciously design. So this is going to be the heart of the intrinsic wealth mindset. It's not about having more money, it's about having more life. So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, first, it means reframing wealth as autonomy. So, for the freedom seeker, the ultimate goal isn't a dollar amount, it's the ability to say no. Like Michael said, no is like the best thing in the world. The ability to say no to a toxic job, the ability to say no to projects that don't excite you, no to overtime that you don't need, the ability to say no to obligations that drain your soul instead of lifting you up, and flip that on its side, because it's going to be also the ability to say a full body yes to things that do benefit you, spending more time with the family members that matter to you, pursuing creative passions that you've never gotten around to, or simply having unscheduled time to rest and relax. And unscheduled time means that you wasn't prepared for not having anything to do right now, but you actually have nothing to do right now. You can go take a nap. Financial freedom isn't about being able to buy anything. It is about not having to do anything you don't want to do. This reframe is incredibly powerful because when autonomy is your goal, your financial decision looks completely different. $200 dinner out isn't just $200. It's a few hours of your freedom that you just sold. That car payment isn't just a monthly bill. It's a chain tethering you to your desk for another 5 years. When you measure the cost in units of your time and freedom, your priorities naturally shift from consumption to liberation. Is it also you need to buy equipment that makes money, not for everyone, but for those that can use equipment to make money. If you're buying that's a method that I've talked to you guys about plenty of times before in the past, is that you are supposed to find what is called the picks and shovels in every mining situation. And what that is like you want to buy the lawnmowers, the backhoes, the 360-degree turners, the construction trailers, and then you want to rent those out to people who don't have it but need to use it for this one project. Then you hire people to run the cash register, and now you've got a business. And guess what? It's called a U-Haul. Right? Everybody needs a moving truck, but nobody ever buys one and holds one until they need it. They only need the moving truck for the one time this year they plan on moving, but everybody needs a moving truck. So buy a bunch of trucks that people can use to move with, rent them out, make money off of it. More with a larger quantity of people that are starting to become homeowners, this is exactly what you can do. You can actually start buying a bunch of lawn care equipment and renting it out to people who only need to cut the grass once a year. And you can rent out the lawn care equipment with the trailer and sometimes even a truck, and they can just rent all the equipment from you, go to their house, cut their grass, bring it back to you, and per person, you would get a lot of money off that stuff. Yeah, I rent my semi, and that's one big thing that I was telling Michael when Michael said, "Oh, if he was going to retire, that he would have recommended somebody to have him and his wife run trucks for like 3 years, and then take all the money that they saved up, go buy a house, and then take the money left over and invest it into a brokerage account." I said, instead, why don't you take all the money you don't need, put it into a brokerage account, run the trucks for 3 years, then take all that extra money from the brokerage account, use the interest to buy trucks, and then lease those trucks to people who don't have trucks. Because when people come fresh out of CDL school, they don't have a truck, and they go directly into the field where they are getting paid less money per mile per minute because the company is providing them with the truck. If they bring their own truck, they get paid more money. If they're renting a truck from somebody, they can contract their truck into more deals, where one company might not have a lot of rides, but 5 different companies will have you on the road on a regular basis. And then if you're renting trucks out to more drivers who don't own their own truck, you can go from them renting the trucks to you leasing to buy those trucks. where the older model trucks becomes their financial problem, and you can buy newer model trucks or rent them out to everybody else, where now your business is not driving the trucks, your business is owning and leasing the trucks to everybody else who's going to drive the trucks. Yeah, I talked to Michael about that. You can make a company off of that shit. And you can start, because each truck, like if you get a really cheap truck, so like $50,000, $60,000 trucks, then you got the really good trucks, $100,000, $200,000 trucks. Then you got the Tesla trucks that are like $120,000 a truck, that are self-driving trucks. You know what I mean? You can set this up. You can set this up. The Tesla trucks are problematic for the specific fact that it's only going to go so far, and then you got to drop off the load, get another Tesla truck to pick up the load and take it somewhere else. So you have to meet your Tesla in a location where you can put the trailer on another truck and then charge that Tesla at that location. But guess what? If you were building an empire of self-driving trucks, then you would have specific drop-off stations where the trailer would stop there just enough to change trucks and then get back on the road. And you would go from per job to per contract. Is that pay $1,100 a week for the truck, and pay for the week and tear, the wear and tear. So $1,100 a week, that's $4,400 a month plus wear and tear on the truck. Now, for anybody who has 10 trucks that they're leasing out at that price, they're making $44,000 a month on that truck, which is almost $500,000 a year on leasing out 10 trucks that they ultimately could have bought for $50,000 or $60,000 a truck. And then the irony is that the cost of the trucks that they got in the first place is debt that they can offset as a tax deduction on the income. So until they make in profit the quantity of money they spent on buying those trucks, they don't have to pay taxes on that. But if they're making making $500,000 a year off of 10 trucks that they probably spent $580,000 to buy, in year 2 they can buy 10 more trucks. They got 20 trucks, and now they're making $1 million a year. And you're paying somebody to man the phones, to lease out the trucks, and you're paying somebody else to catch the trucks on a good deal to bring more trucks in. You got a 5-man team operating 100 trucks, multi-million-dollar operation. All you're doing is leasing out trucks. Whether you're leasing them out on a permanent contract, or you're leasing them out as a backup plan to the guy's primary truck that broke down and is in the shop and he still got to get on the road, they can rent a truck from you while their truck is in the shop. Look, now, this is stuff that could happen. I was talking about this weeks ago that people don't do. People don't think about this. You can make a business off of this. And then instead of you working for somebody else, you work for yourself. And then instead of you being half asleep drinking energy drinks 18 hours a day, you can be at your house like, yeah, this and that hooked me up with the idea. I ain't even got to work no more. I get paid to show people where the truck is parked. Now, the second thing that we're going to start talking about is going to be the means. You want to prioritizing experiences over possessions. A huge body of research shows that spending money on experiences like travel, concerts, and learning skills brings more lasting happiness than spending on stuff. You can get a WWE title. You can have all of the original WWE titles and feel like the shit the week that shit comes in. Put it up on social media for the first 5 or 6 weeks. Everybody's got a Money in the Bank briefcase that they want to challenge you at a mall somewhere and take your title from you. You're never going to leave the house with your belts because you don't want somebody to come up and RKO you at the bus stop. And eventually, it's going to be something that hangs up on the wall and collects dust. It's going to be something that you might even leave it in the back of your car, and it gets sun stained, sitting in the back of your car with the WWE title in the back of your car, on the dashboard or some shit like that. It might be something that you bring into the nightclub when you hear John Cena's logo drop or theme song drop in a nightclub or some shit like that. But eventually, it's a trinket that 6 months down the line, somebody come across it, a year, 2 years down the line, somebody come across it. Oh, you got a WWE title? Oh yeah, yeah, I've been there. It doesn't interest you enough for you to hold a long-winded conversation about the item because you bought the item. It was an impulse buy, and the impulse buy provided you with dopamine until everybody else stopped valuing your impulse buy. Is it trust you know I know? The thrill of the new phone fades, but experiences become part of our identity. So they give us happy memories that we can enjoy for years. They connect us with other people, and they're a lot harder to compare on social media. The freedom seeker gets this. They'd rather have passports full of stamps than a closet full of designer clothes. I told you guys, instead of spending all that extra money on overweight luggage because you're bringing 45 bags of luggage with you to fly to another country, if you don't bring a carry-on with just 2 days worth of clothes and one extra pair of shoes, you go with nothing. Just go out there with some money. People are like, that makes no sense. Instead of having a closet full of designer clothes, you should have a closet with clothes from every country that you went to. Somebody says, oh, that looks nice. Yeah, I got it from Tibet. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, I got that one from Tahiti. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, I got that one from Switzerland. But I literally went there and got it. That's a whole different feeling. That's a whole different story. You know? Oh, that's nice. Where'd you get it from? Taipei. Right? That's a whole different feeling, right? There's a sense of self that comes from what you've done and what you've learned, not from the things that you own. And their goal is going to be a rich life, not a life of riches. He said, just being foreign in a foreign country is exotic. Do you know? Okay, you about my age, Sean, so you know that you and I grew up when GTA first came out, Vice City. I know you played it at least one time, or at least you watched somebody play it if you wasn't one of the ones maybe playing it. You know, the first time that you get on the game, everything looks so amazing. The twinkle in the sky, everything is almost sparkling. 5 missions in, everything looked like shit. The exotic feeling of being in a new environment is a dopamine hit in and of itself. It doesn't get better than the first time you get there. The longer you stay, the more you get used to it, the less impact it has on you. But being a foreigner in a foreign country is an enormous experience that cannot be projected to the magnitude that you would like to project it on a social media feed. Yeah, you can do a first person camera angle of where you're at. How you feel about that shit, you can't project that. The memories that you make when you turn the camera off, the things that you do that didn't make it to social media, that's not the stuff that people talk about, but that's the stuff that makes life worth living, right? Third, this blueprint involves shifting from a retirement mindset to a financial flexibility mindset. The old idea of working a grueling job for 40 years to finally enjoy life at 65 is becoming less and less appealing. Most people don't want to stop working entirely, they just want to work on their own terms. So, the goal of financial flexibility is about creating options. It might mean building enough savings to take a year-long sabbatical in your 30s, where you quit working for an employer that you don't like, take a year off of work, get your shit together, and then go work for what you want to work for or start up your own business. It's going to mean growing a side hustle, that covers your basic standard of living so that you can take a less demanding but more fulfilling main job. Because while we were always taught when we were kids that you're either going to do what you love or love what you get paid for what you do, but you will not have a meaningful financial lifestyle doing what we love, but we will have a meaningful financial lifestyle doing the shit that we don't like. So you either love what you do or love the money that you make off of what you do. We could never do both. Nowadays, you can. Now, if you build up that side hustle from all of those Tuesdays where I gave you different ways to make money on the side for you, now you can have a side hustle that covers your base standard of living. And instead of wasting your extra money on luxuries, you invest your extra money on building the type of thing that you would want to do. You would find yourself in a more meaningful life. He says, or just take a year off because you could afford it. A lot of times, bro, it's not just taking a year off because you can afford it. It's taking a year off and rehabilitating myself from the physical injuries that I've gone through in life that I have never recovered from fully. It's taking a year off and going to some rehab, not mental health rehab, not drug rehab, physical rehabilitation, some chiropractors, back massagers, acupuncture. You know what I mean? Your gym membership with a gym coach that's not trying to turn me into the next Brock Lesnar, but trying to get me to walk straight without a limp so that my ankles ain't swelling kind of shit. Yeah, yeah. We ain't just taking days off just because we just want to stop working. We're not taking days off just because we want to get some sleep. We're taking days off because we want to fucking heal. Because men break their bodies down as well as their minds. And we never recover. We just go back out there, self-preservation, and keep doing it until we can't do it anymore. We'll take 1,000 German suplexes every day because we can. And we'll keep taking them until we can't take them anymore. But if you make enough money where you could just say, you know what, I just won't get suplexed this month. Let me recover from last month. Let me recover from the concussion protocols. We can finally recover ourselves and then get better, right? Purpose can be done on my time. You know, I'm there to get paid, whatever job I'm on. Well, you get paid for your presence. And sometimes at least when you first start, you like doing what you're doing because it's new to you. Then you get used to it. It's not what you wanted to do in life, but it is what pays the bills and the boss doesn't give you shit. So you're rationalizing a job you don't like that you tolerate. I'm saying that what we need is to be doing something that we love to do. Like I'm here on a podcast because this is what I want to do. I get here whenever the fuck I get here, but this is what I want to do. That's me right now. Recovering from getting my ass whooped. Right? So you make enough money to cover your base standard, and then you can do the things that you want to do, regardless of how much it pays you. So this could actually mean having walk away money that gives you the power to negotiate for better working conditions or to simply leave a bad situation, like I was telling Stephen earlier tonight. This is a much more empowering goal than some far off, uncertain retirement. It's about creating freedom right now. To start building this blueprint, you have to get brutally honest about your why. Why the fuck do you go to work every day? Why are you making all this money? Why are you spending all the money that you get? And you got to grab a piece of paper. You got to answer these 3 questions. I want you guys to really tell me what you think. Think about it for yourself. If you're embarrassed to tell me, you ain't got to tell me. But if you got enough money tomorrow that you never had to work again, what would you stop doing immediately? He said, I would love to live in Thailand for a few months. Okay, so here's the thing. I want to go to Vietnam. I want to go to Japan. I do want to go to Thailand and Taipei. But the Philippines is going to be where the good tan flourishes, though. That's So for sightseeing, I would go to Thailand. For cheap living, I would go to Japan and Vietnam and Indonesia and because I'm a foreigner in there and I got this good tan and everybody out there don't, most of the people out there don't look like this, I would be a superstar out there, right? But if we're going out there and coming back with a companion, the Philippines would probably be the way to go. Pattaya and Ho Chi Minh City, talking about it. I'd go to Hong Kong. I'd go to Hong Kong just for a couple months, just to visit. But when you start talking about long term, like plant your flag kind of thing, for the dark tan, it's better to go to the Philippines. Now, after you rest up, how would you actually fill your days? What projects would you start? What would you learn? Who would you spend your time with? These are the questions. If you get off, if you got enough money tomorrow that you never had to work again, what would you stop doing immediately? After you rested up, how would you actually fill your day? What projects would you start? What would you learn? Who would you spend your time with? Right? Answer these questions. You say, I need a garden. There you go. There you go. That's when you start finding the things in life that are more fulfilling. Now, imagine you're designing your ideal life, but with one specific rule. You can't tell anyone about that. So, no social media posts, no bragging to friends. You have to live it entirely for yourself. So you get you a garden, you're not bragging to your friends, oh yeah, I planted a bunch of orchids yesterday. No, this is something that you do for yourself. This is one of those moments. Like, I know when you watch NCIS and the girl goes down to the basement, oh, I didn't know that you build boats in your basement. But he don't talk about his shit. I would go hops to make beer. You know what? Instead of just growing hops to make beer, if you grow some cannabis next to the hops and make you some cannabis beer, that'll be highly therapeutic because the CBD oils from the cannabis plants actually anti-inflammatory, and then the anti-nausea side effects of the cannabis actually helps with the excessive sodium in the beer that actually causes gastrointestinal reflux. One of the reasons why people throw up from beer is not just from a high alcohol consumption, it is from the high quantity of hops that throws off their pH, and the acidity causes an eruption or regurgitation of the extra foam, just like when it comes out of the bottle, it's going to come out of your throat, right? So if you made some that had some cannabis in it, it wouldn't regurgitate. That gag reflex would be nullified somewhat. Now, these questions are going to be designed to peel back the layers of social pressure and reveal what truly drives you. Because if you were going to do these things and not post about it on social media, not brag to your friends, and just do this on your own time as your own secret adventures, you're going to find that your answers are going to be the foundation of your personal blueprint for what you believe is your freedom. This is going to be your North Star for every financial decision that you make from here on out. Because hops is a high value crop. Now, I would love to grow cannabis in Thailand. Shit, I'd love to grow cannabis in America. Ship it to Thailand. Wait, I would love to get a cannabis field in the middle of nowhere in Thailand and pay a bunch of Thai people to crop my crops, harvest my crops. I would love to be out there in the middle of Vietnam somewhere with a nice Western style plantation building and 100,000 acres of cannabis with a few dozen matriarchal society, few dozen women harvesting my crops. He said, I did cannabis when it was illegal. And you didn't get a dispensary license by now where you could be because I think they said you had to be a grower for 5 years or some stuff like that, and then you can get some paperwork together, and now you can grow out your backyard or some shit. That's what they say. I don't know the deal. I don't know the ins and outs about it, but I mean, shoot, now that it's legal, you already know what to do. You know, in a row house. Oh, okay, okay. But you can get you a greenhouse though. You can get your greenhouse though these days. You can get your greenhouse. And matter of fact, you can get you one of those hydroponic shipping containers. And if you got a hydroponic shipping container, it can grow 10 times more weed in 100 square feet. And you all you gotta do is just harvest it. So for like 100 grand, you might can make a couple $1 million depending on how many plants you grow and how often you do it. Baltimore, oh yeah, you just got to find those growth states. Now, knowing your why is going to be the foundation, but building freedom requires action. Every knowing what to do and then actually doing something about it is always going to be two different things. It's going to require tangible shifts in your habits and how you measure your success. So here are going to be 5 critical shifts to move from chasing the applause to building real lasting wealth. First things first, you want to have to move from the fuzzy idea of financial freedom to a cold, hard number. A vague goal gets you vague results. You need a target to hit. This is going to be your financial independence number, your FI number. This is the amount of money that you need invested so that you can live off the growth without ever having to work again. Now, a common way to estimate this is about the 4% rule, which suggests that you can safely withdraw 4% of your investment assets for each year if you're going to buy a growth scenario and then withdraw your investments. Now, I'm going to tell you that if you're getting dividend payments and your dividend payments is more than 4% of your investment portfolio, then you're doing good as well. I covered you guys different ways where you can try to pull out like 15 or 20% of your dividend investment, but you can still apply the 4% rule to the dividends off of your portfolio. So if you've got $100,000 in the bank and you're getting back $15,000, you take 4% of that, put it in your pocket, and reinvest the rest. The 4% can work for you as well. You said in the past, but you ain't stopped learning how to grow, bro. You know how to grow. If you grew before, you can grow again. Now, the rule is you want to find the FI number by just multiplying your ideal annual spending by 25. So if you could live comfortably on, say, $60,000 a year, your FI number is going to be $1.5 million, which is $60,000 times 25 overall, right? That number might seem huge, but it's going to be powerful in its clarity. It turns your financial life from a guessing game into a solvable problem. Now, that's at 4%. If you were doing something closer to like 14%, you're doing something maybe closer to like 11 or 12%, like even if you said 10%, it would be more like 600,000. And if you were doing like 10% plus inflation, which is 13%, instead of it being 600,000, it might be 720. The number gets lower when you start doing more return. So it's going to turn your financial life from a guessing game into a solvable problem. Now, every dollar that you save and invest is a concrete step towards that number. It's a gamifying the process. So you're no longer just saving, you're buying shares of your own freedom. And this number becomes your internal scorecard. And it is a lot more meaningful than the size of your house. Because with the bigger your portfolio gets, the more benefits you receive. The second shift is going to be about changing where your money goes. The applause chaser's money is going to flow outward for every person that passes by to see. The freedom seeker's money flows downward into the invisible foundations of their assets. This starts with tracking your spending. You can't optimize what you don't measure. So for just 1 month, you want to track every single dollar. You want to use an app or a spreadsheet, whatever works for you. And this isn't going to be about judging yourself. It's going to be about gathering that data. at the end of the month or use last month's bills, whichever, you'll see exactly where your money is going and where it went last month. You'll be able to spot the applause tax. That's the money that you spent on status stuff instead of freedom things. Once you have that data, you automate it. This is the single most powerful tactic for building the wealth. You make savings the default, set up automatic transfers to the savings account and investment accounts for the day that you're supposed to get paid. So the day that you're supposed to get paid is the day that the money clears the bank account for spending. And typically what happens is that the money might get deposited on Thursday, clear the bank on Friday, you can start spending it on Monday. But if the money hits the bank on Thursday, clears on Friday, and automatically withdraws capital out on Friday, come Monday when you go to spend it, that automatic set is gone already. So all that's left is what you've got to deal with. Now, for those individuals that have high motivation, you can manually move your money, but it's harder to manually move your money because when you have financial concerns, upcoming bills where you don't know if you've got enough money to cover everything, but you've done enough stuff where you should have enough money to cover everything, you might decide not to take the money out this time around and delay it until next time. And that delay is the same as I'm gonna take a semester off and go back to school next semester and continue to make that delay until you never go back. I'm gonna delay taking this money out and take the money out next investment, and that delay will continue until you never invest in yourself. You invest the money regardless of what's going on in your life. If you need to get some of that money back, especially if you're investing with ETFs, you can get the money back, but you want to put it up first, balance the rest of your budget, cover everything, and then see what happens with your next paycheck. Matter of fact, if you know that you spent money on bullshit with your last paycheck, and you spent money on bullshit with the paycheck before that, and you bought stuff you wasn't supposed to buy last month and the month before that, you know that there's a certain quantity of money that we call discretionary spending that you don't need for your day-to-day survival, and you can put that money away and you don't need it because you wasted it on bullshit, right? This is the idea that is called paying yourself first. Before you pay the rent or buy groceries or anything to that effect, a piece of your income is already working for your future self. Now, a great target is going to be to save and invest at least about 20%. But a lot of times, because people are living from paycheck to paycheck, you might only be able to pull out 10%. If 20%, if you were making $3,000, you'd have to take out 600. You might not have that much. But if you're making $3,000 and you're able to take out 250, 300, you can do something with that, right? But this automated, invisible process works in a background while you live your life. So if the money already came out of your bank account, went into your savings account, came out of your bank account, went into your brokerage account, or came out of your bank account, went into your savings account, and a percentage of it came out of your savings account and went into your brokerage account. Then when you get to your brokerage account, the money that's in your brokerage account is now able to be put into those undervalued stocks that are having high dividend returns, that have got growth capabilities and all this other stuff. Now you have a 3-tier system where after you finish paying for all your bills, you know you got a backup plan to a backup plan. That gives you the ability to sleep at night. That gives you a lot of the times to put you in a position where you just know, I don't need to deal with this today because I got plenty of money to deal with this tomorrow, next week, next month. I can just let this slide for right now. I don't have to cover it right now, right? The third shift is going to be about rewiring your brain's reward systems. Chasing applause is a hunt for the short-term dopamine hits. So building freedom is going to be about the long-term satisfaction of discipline. The first battle is debt elimination. High interest debt from credit cards and personal loans is going to be the enemy of that freedom. The interest that you pay is a direct transfer of wealth away from you. I understand that we got to juggle the bills until we catch up on them, but we don't have to let them linger while we're paying attention to lifestyle creep. Yes, you do still take your 10 or 20% and put on your brokerage account so that you can invest in yourself, but then you take money and put it directly on that credit card to pay it down before the bill rolls over, and then put whatever you need to put on that card so that you can take the cash to do some other thing. That's called robbing Peter to pay Paul. Instead of paying the credit card before or paying the card after the bill rolls over. You pay the card before the bill rolls over and then charge a bunch of shit to the card. 90% of stuff these days can be put on a credit card, which also means that everything that can go on the credit card, if you had the cash to pay for it, you could have put the cash on the credit card, let the bill roll over, and then put that amount on the credit card, and all the bills got paid, but the account ended with an excessively low balance or no balance at all, and then you still floated that money, right? You want to make a plan of attack. You can use an avalanche method. Pay off the high interest debt first and save some money, or snowball methods, because if everything is a variable rate and you're right around 20%, 22%, the snowball method is paying off the smallest debts first for quick psychological wins. Whichever one you choose, you want to be relentless about it. If you pay off the little thing first, you can use a little thing to rotate some other stuff off so that you can put more money down on the big things, which allows for you to knock the big things down faster, which allows for you to roll things a lot faster. You start seeing results way quicker. Next, you want to have to design your environment for success. You want to curate your inputs. Social media can be toxic drivers of comparison. So you want to unfollow accounts that just promote lavish lifestyles. Instead, follow people like this and that, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between, who's going to talk about debt-free living, practical financial tips, building wealth quality. Fill your feed with content that empowers you, not fantasies that makes you feel inadequate. Finally, you want to learn to recognize and redirect emotional spending. Many of us use spending money because we're stressed, bored, or lonely. The next time that you feel the urge to buy something impulsive, just pause. Ask yourself, what feeling am I actually trying to buy right now? Identify the trigger. Then find a non-financial way to address that feeling. If you're stressed, go for a walk instead of browsing on Amazon. If you feel disconnected, call a friend instead of going on an expensive bar run, right? This breaks the line and severs the link between your feelings and your wallet. One of the other things I say do is that when you decide to buy something, you want to delay purchase. And what I mean by it is, say you want to buy something today. You might want to put a pin on it, save it to your browser history, send a link to yourself in your phone. I used to do that a lot. Items that I want, I would text message the link to it to myself. Then I'd wait a few weeks, sometimes a couple months, depending on what's going on. If I go back to that link weeks, days, months later, and I can find purpose in that item, then I'll get it. And purpose in the item means it's something I'm going to use every day, something that's going to benefit me for whatever I'm buying it for, right? You buy you a pair of shoes because you need shoes on your feet. You don't buy you a pair of shoes to impress other people by the kind of shoes that you have on your feet. Difference in stuff. Since I don't need to impress anybody, the shoes that would have been bought just because other people would like to see me in them, I don't have to buy that right now. And if you don't buy it now, you may never buy it because you don't need that. But if you got a pair of shoes that's talking, they need to go into the trash, you're going to buy you a pair of shoes to replace your shoes that need to go in the trash. You're going to buy you a pair of pants because your pants is torn and you can't find yourself a tailor. You're going to buy yourself a pair of pants because you need a pair of pants. The need is the reason why you're buying. That benefits you. Now, the fourth shift is going to be about changing how you measure progress. The world wants you to measure your success by your job title and your salary. Freedom seekers use a completely different set of metrics. Your new number one metric is your new number one metric is going to be your savings rates. This is the percentage of your income that you save and invest with. It's going to be the most important number in your financial life because it's what you control and it directly determines how quickly you reach your FI numbers. Someone earning $50,000 with a 50% savings rate will reach freedom far sooner than someone with a $200,000 income and a 10% savings rate. The irony is because if you have a $50,000 earning and 50% savings rate, you're putting away $25,000 versus someone with a $200,000 earning and putting away a 10% savings rate because they're only putting away $20,000. So your savings rate is highly important. Another powerful internal matrix is going to be passive income. This is money that you earn from your investments, not your job, not getting paid for your presence. Even if it's just a few dollars a month from dividends at first, start tracking it. Watching this number grow on its own is incredibly motivating. Watching how much money you get paid back every month get larger every month is beneficial to you. It's actually going to be a dopamine hit that you're gonna chase that dopamine hit in a positive fashion by investing more money in your portfolio. But it's going to be tangible proof that your money is working for you. The day your passive income covers your monthly expenses is a day that you are truly going to be free. When you're making more money from your brokerage account than what you would be making at work. The final shift is going to be the deepest because it's going to be about understanding the hidden scripts that divide and drive your behavior and actively rewiring and rewriting the way you behave. You want to reflect on your money history. What were the first messages that you got about money as a kid? Did you grow up with a sense of scarcity or abundance? Often, our adult financial habits are just subconscious reactions to those earlier lessons. Recognizing these patterns is going to be the first step to breaking them. Next, you want to practice quiet rituals of contentment. In a world that's constantly screaming for more, you need to create a space for enough. Start a gradual journal. Start a gratitude section in that journal. Schedule time for stillness, like a walk in nature without your phone, to just be present. I would take the dog for a walk without my phone. These practices build an internal sense of control and reduce your need for external things that make you happy. Finally, I want to give you guys one of the last challenges. You want to write a no audience life script. Take out that piece of paper again. Design your perfect life, your career, your home, your hobbies, your relationships, the investment portfolio that you like to have in order for you to have the kind of lifestyle that you would need to cover without having to go to work every day. All of that with the absolute certainty that no one would ever know or care that it got done. No praise, no envy, no applause. This thought experiment is a powerful tool because it strips away all the external pressures and reveals your core desires. The parts of you that is your dream life that disappear in this scenario. Well, the parts of you that disappear are going to be for the applause people. The parts of you in your dream life that still remain are going to be the parts of you that are components for the true freedom. So when you start dreaming your dream life and you think, oh, this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 and then when you take away like stuff that people will never notice, people will never see, people will never pay attention to, when you strip away all of that stuff, that's going to be a huge change. You want to build that life, the life that nobody notices. Now, we've covered a lot of ground over the last almost 4 hours. We've looked at two paths: the stressful chase for applause versus the quiet build for freedom. We've covered the heavy psychological price of living for validation and laid out 5-part frameworks to make the shift to life of true autonomy possible. And I'm going to be putting that step-by-step method into the membership along with all the other things are going to be thrown into the membership. This journey isn't easy. It requires you to swim against a powerful cultural current that tells you that you are what you own. It demands a level of honesty that can be very uncomfortable. But on the other side of that discomfort is going to be peace. It's the security of a solid financial foundation. It's the integrity of living a life that is aligned with your values. And ultimately, it's going to be the freedom to wake up every morning and choose how you spend your day unbound by debt and the need for anyone else's approval. It's also going to have you in a situation where you're unbound by duty bound tasks, where there's stuff you gotta do because you've already got somebody else assigned to do it. The choice between freedom and applause is going to be one that you make with every dollar that you spend. That fancy coffee that you could have made at home, that new phone when you could have kept your old one, they're going to be buying your status, but they also could be costing you your time. That $200 dinner out, if invested in a simple index fund, could be worth over $1,000 in 20 years. Which do you want more? The fleeting memory of a meal, that fleeting memory of that one time we spent 20 grand on prom, or a tangible piece of your future freedom? This isn't about being cheap, it's about being intentional. It's about making sure your money is funding your joy, not your ego. As Gary uh, Vaynerchuk says, people are chasing cash, not happiness. When you chase money, you're going to lose. Even if you get the money, you're not going to be happy. That's what Gary Vaynerchuk says. People are chasing cash, not happiness. And when you chase money, you're going to lose. Even if you get the money, you're not going to be happy. Now, that actually is one of the reasons why money can't buy you love and happiness, because you're not chasing the love and happiness. You are chasing the money. Ladies, I want y'all to pay attention to that part. So I'm going to leave you guys with one final thought and exercise. It's going to be called the respect list. Think of 3 people that you deeply respect in your own life, not celebrities, but real people that you know, people that you talk to, people that you're willing to go see every day or at least a few times a week or whatever. Now, write down the qualities that you admire about that person. A lot of the times, y'all gonna find out that they ain't shit about that person. That's your favorite person because that's your favorite person. But ask yourself, is it their kindness, their resilience, their integrity? Look at this list. How many of the qualities? Because what you did was you found at least 3, if not 5 people that you hold a lot of respect for, and you listed all of the qualities that you admire about each one of those people. So, out of that, how many qualities have anything to do with how much money they have or the things that they own? Guess there's going to be very few, unless you've got the kind of friends that you're only with them because of the stuff they have. If you like your friend because they got the Hellcat, if you like your friend because they got the new GTA 6, if you like your friend because she got that new Chanel or whatever the case may be, then you don't like her for who she is. You like her for what she has. But if you have a friend that has high integrity, if I'm your friend because I have high knowledge, if you have a friend that's very dependable, very reliable, you have admiration in people that are not bound to money. So if we admire people for their character, not their cash, yet we spend so much of our lives chasing the cash, hoping it will bring us the admiration that we crave, this is going to be the great deception. The things that make you truly wealthy, strong relationships, a solid character, peace of mind, can't be bought. But building financial freedom can give you the time and space to cultivate them. So my question to you is going to be this: which path will you choose? What is one small step that you can take this week to start building for freedom instead of performing for applause? What will you track for your spending list? Unfollow an account that makes you feel envious. Have an honest conversation with your partner. Let me know in the comments. Sharing your first step is going to be a powerful act of commitment. Now, let's start this conversation and help each other on the path to the true freedom that we're looking for. And you guys need to remember, build a life, not just a lifestyle. We covered a lot of stuff today. I really appreciate those of you that hung out with me the whole time. We're going to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men, not just by improving your financial life, but also by improving your personal decision-making skills. You have to pay attention to the things in your life that are inside of your control, that you value, so that you can change the things that you don't like and then navigate around the things that are outside of your control, which gives you a better way of life. Ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can make yourselves higher value women by paying attention to your 20 and 30-year plan, and then keeping your eyes and ears open for the potential suitors with the right character, personality, drive, ambition, dedication, admiration, integrity, motivation, and compare with their 20-year goal, their 30-year goal, and see how well their goals match up with your goals. Because when y'all are heading in the same direction, two people can make it to $1 million faster than one. I just showed you how $200,000 with taking out 10% is not going to bring you as much as $50,000 taking out 50%. So if two of y'all are living together and y'all living off of $50,000 and both of y'all are making $50,000 and you're investing the other $50,000, you're able to get to that $1 million faster than what you would have had you been making $250,000 and only being able to take out 5%. The difference is whether or not you guys work together for your later to be greater, or if you're living in the moment for right now. You guys got to think about that for yourselves. Now, we got a lot of stuff coming up. I still haven't put up Sunday, but I will. Or Monday, I will. I said I will. I will. I haven't done it, but I'm going to do it. So I want you guys to stay tuned for everything that we got coming up. I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground.